Chosen one, listen closely. What stirred inside you the moment you saw these words? That pull you cannot name, that ancient ache rising from somewhere older than your body, is not curiosity. It is recognition, because the spiritual gift you carry has not been active in another human soul for 2,000 years. 2,000. The world has lived its entire modern history without this frequency walking among it, and now the Father has placed it inside you. You are the first in 20 centuries. And the reason you are receiving this message is not chance. You did not stumble here. A higher hand drew you to and the revelation begins now. Everything you have endured, every season of being misunderstood, every confusion about who you are, every quiet ache of feeling carved from different stone than everyone around you, was the dormancy period of something heaven sealed inside you before you took your first breath. You did not feel different by accident. You felt different because you carry what no one has carried since the apostles laid down their mantles, and the door is finally opening. Before another word arrives, stop. Stop the scrolling. Stop the second screen running beside you. If there are people around you, this is not for them. This is for one. Put your earphones in if you can. Lower the brightness of the room around you. Silence the small noises pulling at your attention. This is not casual. What is being said here is too specific to be heard while you are half present. The frequency I am about to point toward, inside you, cannot be sensed while your attention is split between this and 7 other things. So, pause. Actually, pause. Not the kind of pause where you keep half scrolling. The kind where you set the phone down and let it rest beside you while only the voice continues. Let the world outside this hour continue without you. The notifications can wait. The dishes can wait. The thoughts you came in carrying, let them wait too. They will still be there when you return. But what is about to land inside you cannot wait, and it cannot land if you are not still enough to receive it. Take one full breath with me, slowly in, slowly out. Not because I asked you to, because something inside you already knew this hour was coming, and the breath you just took was the body remembering. There is an image I want you to hold loosely throughout the next hour, not tightly, not as a doctrine. Loosely, the way you would hold a sleeping animal in the palm of your hand. Picture an old lamp, the kind that holds oil, the wick still in it, the body of the lamp still intact, the flame long since gone, but not because the lamp was broken, because the lamp was covered. Someone placed a cloth over it, and the cloth stayed there for a very long time, long enough for the dust to settle, long enough for the room to forget. The lamp was even there. The lamp is still a lamp. The oil has not poured out. The wick has not rotted. What has stopped is only the burning, and the cloth is the only thing standing between the dark room and the light that has been waiting under the fabric for a very long time. The lamp is inside of you. The cloth is the thing you have been calling your life. The years that felt heavy, the seasons that felt silent, the relationships that did not stay, the plans that did not happen, the version of yourself you kept apologizing for. All of it has been the cloth, and underneath the cloth, the lamp has been waiting. Return to this image with me throughout the next hour. We will come back to it again. We will come back to it when we name what has been waiting. We will come back to it when we trace why the cloth was placed. We will come back to it when the hand finally reaches toward the cover. And we will come back to it one last time when the lamp is lit. So, Hold the picture loosely. Let it stay in the back of your mind while everything else is being said. Because by the time this hour is over, the lamp will not be a metaphor anymore. There is a pain I want to name first, because if I do not name it, everything else I say will skim over the part of you that most needs to be seen. The pain of carrying something with no name. You have felt it. You have felt it your entire life, in different shapes, from different angles. Sometimes it shows up as the inability to explain to someone why a certain song undoes you while it leaves them unmoved. Sometimes it shows up as the feeling of being in a room full of people you love and still being the only one who is somehow not fully there. Sometimes it shows up as the slow, low ache of standing in front of a mirror and feeling like the person looking back is older than your age, more tired than your circumstances have earned, more aware than your life has given you the right to be. You have tried to name it. You have read the books. You have taken the personality tests. You have listened to the teachers. You have sat in the rooms where people speak of awakening and noticed that even there, even among people who use the same words you use, something in you did not quite match. The vocabulary almost fit, almost, but not quite. And you walked away each time feeling slightly closer to something and slightly more alone. That is the pain of carrying a frequency that has no language for it yet. The pain of being a shape the world does not have a name for. The pain of pointing at your own chest and saying, this is what I mean. And the person in front of you nods politely, but you can see in their eyes that they did not actually understand. It is not because they did not want to understand. It is because the words have not been invented yet. The words have not been invented yet because no one in your generation has had to invent them. And no one has had to invent them because what you carry has not been active in another body close enough to teach yours how to translate it. And there is a second kind of loneliness, deeper than the first. Not the loneliness of being alone, the loneliness of being mirrored by no one. There is a difference. Stay with me here. When you are simply alone, you can step into a room of people and the loneliness lifts. That is, the easy kind, the fixable kind. But the loneliness of being mirrored by no one is the kind that gets worse in rooms full of people, because in those rooms, you can see the way they recognize each other. The small smiles between strangers who somehow already speak the same internal language, the way they finish each other's sentences after knowing each other for 10 minutes, the way they laugh at the same things, at the same beat. And you stand in the room and you laugh half a second later because you had to translate the joke through your own private language first before it could land, and no one notices the half second. But you notice. You always notice. You notice every half second of every conversation of your entire life. That is the loneliness I want to name, because most spiritual teachers will tell you that loneliness is healed by community. They are not wrong, but they are talking about the first kind of loneliness, the kind that is healed by company. The second kind is not healed by company, because the second kind is not the absence of people, it is the absence of resonance. You can be surrounded by people who love you every single day and still feel like the part of you that is most alive has been speaking into a closed room for years. That is not a flaw in your love for them. That is not a flaw in their love for you. That is a sign that what you carry is rare enough that the resonance has to come from somewhere most people do not yet know how to look for. And tonight, for the first time in your life, you are about to learn where to look. There is one more layer of pain I want to touch, before we begin to move. Touch it gently, because it is the layer most people are most ashamed of. The pain of outgrowing people you still love. You have not spoken about this out loud. Maybe to one friend. Maybe to no one. Because how do you say to someone, "I love you," and at the same time the room I am becoming is bigger than the room you can come with me into? You do not say it. You absorb it. You keep showing up to the same conversations. You keep pretending the version of yourself you are leaving behind still fits comfortably in the seat at the table. And every time you do, something inside you loses a little more access to itself. This is the pain of growth guilt. It is the apology you have been holding in your chest for becoming what you are becoming. And I want you to hear this clearly, because the rest of what we are about to do will not work if this layer stays where it is. You are not abandoning anyone. You are answering something that was placed inside you before any of those relationships began. The seasons of separation you have been moving through, the friends who slowly fell away, the family members who started seeing you as a stranger, the partner whose hand you no longer fit inside the way you used to. Those were not punishments. They were the cloth being lifted, one corner at a time. And the guilt you have been carrying about it is the last cloth, the final layer, the one that has been most cleverly disguised as love, but is actually the thing that has been keeping the lamp covered. Tonight, with permission, set that cloth down, not violently, not bitterly, gently, the way you would set down a coat that you wore for a long time and have outgrown, with gratitude that it kept you warm, and with quiet honesty that it is no longer the right size. And right now, somewhere in the country, in a small house in the middle of nowhere, there is a woman who has been having the same dream for almost a year. She is not someone you know. She has not been on a stage. She has not built a platform. She is 53. She lives in a town in the middle of the country that you have never heard of and never will. And for almost a year, she has been waking up at the same hour with the same image still behind her eyes. In the dream, there is a door. The door is old. The door has been sealed for so long that the seal has fused with the frame. And in every version of the dream, the door cracks, not opens, cracks. A line of light comes through, and she wakes up before she sees what is on the other side. She wrote about this dream in a place where I happened to read it. She did not write it because she wanted attention. She wrote it because she had nowhere else to put it. The therapist did not understand it. The pastor did not understand it. The husband did not understand it. The friends did not understand it. And she said, in the smallest sentence, at the end of her message, "I just need to know I am not the only one." You are not the only one. There are quiet women in the middle of the country, and quiet men in coastal cities, and silent people in countries, on the other side of the world, who are all having different versions of the same dream. The dream of the door cracking, the dream of the seal giving way, the dream of light arriving where it has not been for a very long time. And if anything in you is responding to those words right now, that is not coincidence. That is the same dream, finding the same hour. The dream is one of the signs. There are others. There are at least 4 that have surfaced clearly enough to put into words, and I want to walk through each of them with you when the time is right. But before I do, you need to understand what I mean when I say sign. I do not mean the kind of sign people sell on websites. I do not mean the 11 on the clock, or the feather on the sidewalk. Those things may be real, but they are not what I am pointing at. What I am pointing at is something quieter. Something that has been happening to you for years, and you have been explaining it away every single time. You explained it away because the explanations available to you were the only language you had. You called it anxiety when it was not anxiety. You called it depression when it was not depression. You called it imagination when it was not imagination. You called it stress, exhaustion, hormones, age, season, weather, anything you could reach for that the people around you would accept as a normal answer. But it was none of those things, not entirely. Some of it was. Most of it was not. Most of it was the gift inside you starting to stir in its sleep, and the body interpreting that, stirring the only way it knew how, through the vocabulary of sickness, because the vocabulary of awakening had not yet been given to you. That is what I mean when I say sign. A signal from underneath the cloth, a movement of the wick inside the unlit lamp, a whisper from the part of you that has been waiting for the part of you that is listening to finally turn its head. 4 of these signals, arranged in an order. The order matters, because each one builds on the one before it, and by the time we reach the 4th, what was a faint hum becomes a clear word. And the clear word, when you hear it, is your own name being called from inside your own chest, in a tone you have never heard before, because no one has called you by that name yet. Those 4 signals are coming, not yet. There is one more thing I want to make sure you understand first, because if you do not understand this next part, the 4 signs will land on intellect and not on bone, and we do not have time for that tonight. What you are about to hear has not been taught widely, not because it is hidden, not because there is a secret, but because the language for it has only recently begun to surface in enough mouths at the same time for it to be sayable in the open. For most of the last 20 centuries, the people who carried what you carry were either silenced or hidden, or so few in number that they could not find each other across the distance. That has begun to change, slowly, quietly, without announcement. Across the world, in small kitchens at 3 in the morning, and in cars parked outside of grocery stores, and in long walks alone through neighborhoods at dusk, the same thing has been happening to scattered people. The same recognitions, the same dreams, the same questions, arriving in the same week. You are one of those scattered people. You have been one of them for longer than you realize. And the 4 signs we are about to walk through are not theory. They are the symptoms a clinical eye, if such an eye existed for the spirit, would chart on a graph as the unmistakable activation curve of a gift waking from a very long sleep. And one more thing. Something I cannot prove and will not try to prove, but I am going to say it anyway, because I believe it, and because you have already felt it, and because pretending otherwise would be insulting to both of us. You are not here by accident. I do not mean that in the casual way people say it. I mean it precisely. The hour you are receiving this matters. The combination of where you are sitting, what you have been thinking about for the last 72 hours, the conversations you have been replaying in your head, the small private questions you have been asking the air when no one was listening, all of it has been being arranged, not by you, by the same hand that placed what you carry inside you before you were born. There is a word for this in the older traditions. The word is appointment, not in the modern sense of a meeting on a calendar. In the older sense, a moment marked in advance, an hour that was placed on the timeline of your life long before you arrived in it. And appointments do not happen by luck. They happen because they were arranged. Hold 2 reframes with me. The first is this: the thing in you that has felt weird your entire life is not weird. It is early. There is a difference. Weird means out of place. Early means arrived before the rest. You have been arriving before the rest your entire life. The world has been catching up to you and calling you strange for getting there first. Tonight, that ends. The second is this: the isolation you have lived inside has not been a punishment, it has been incubation. Every species that carries something new is incubated in silence before it is released into the open. The mother does not eat the egg. The egg is wrapped in stillness for as long as the chick needs to form. Your stillness has not been abandonment. Your stillness has been formation. Hold these 2 reframes. We will return to them. They will matter more than they sound like they matter right now. Before we step into the first signal, let me name what is coming for you across the rest of this hour. You will learn the actual name of what you carry, not a vague spiritual category. The specific lineage of gift. In the original language it was first written in, with the etymology no one in your circle has likely ever explained to you. You will learn why this particular frequency went silent 20 centuries ago, and why your generation specifically is the generation it is returning through. You will hear about a woman named Anna who waited 84 years for one moment, and a man named Elisha who picked up a mantle the day his teacher disappeared, and you will see why both of their stories are about you. You will be given 2 practical activations with specific names that you can begin tomorrow morning in your own bedroom without anyone knowing. And before this hour closes, you will receive a final guided activation that the body remembers even when the mind forgets. None of this requires you to buy anything. None of this requires you to believe anything. All it requires is that you stay. So stay. Because what comes next is the part you have been waiting for without knowing you were waiting. 4 signals. 4 specific patterns that have been moving through your life. 4 pieces of evidence that what I have been describing is not theory. When you hear the first one, you will feel a small click in the center of your chest, not a physical click. The click of recognition. The click of a word landing on the exact shape it was always meant to describe. You may try to dismiss it. That is normal. The mind has been trained to dismiss what it cannot yet defend. Let it try. The click will still be there underneath. When you hear the second one, the click will deepen. You will recognize a pattern in your own behavior that you have been hiding from for years. A pattern you have been calling moodiness, or oversensitivity, or being too much, when it was never any of those things. It was a signal. And the signal will become readable in a way it has not been readable until tonight. When you hear the third one, something different will happen. The third signal is the one that crosses from the personal into the unmistakable. It is the one that makes the small things you have been calling coincidence stop being small. You may want to pause at that moment. Resist if you can. The fourth one is the one that ties the whole picture together, and you do not want to walk away from the first 3 without the fourth. When you hear the fourth one, the word will arrive. The word I cannot give you in advance. The word that has been the name of the dream the woman in the middle of the country has been having. The word that has been the silent throb under your loneliness. For as long as you can remember, the word will not come from me. The word will come from inside of you the moment the fourth signal lands, because the fourth signal is the one that gives you permission to know what you already know. Prepare yourself for this, not by tightening, by softening. Take one more breath with me. Not deep, not performative, just a breath that is fuller than the breath you were breathing before. Picture the lamp again, the cloth on top of it, the thin line of light starting to come through the place where the cloth is beginning to wear. That line of light is what we are about to follow. That line of light has a name. It has 4 signals. It has a history 20 centuries old and a future that begins in the next 40 minutes of your life. The first signal is the one you have probably been dismissing the longest. It looks like an emotion. It is not. It looks like a chemical imbalance. It is not. It looks like the kind of thing you would mention to a doctor before you would mention it to anyone else. And the doctor would tell you it is normal. And the friends would tell you it is normal. And you would walk away from every single conversation about it, knowing in your bones that it is not normal at all. That signal is what we are about to put a name to first. And when you hear it named, you will understand for the first time in your life why no one was ever able to give you a satisfying explanation for what was happening inside you. Because the explanation does not belong to medicine. It does not belong to psychology. It does not belong to the modern vocabulary of self-help. It belongs to a vocabulary that has not been actively spoken in the language of your generation for 2,000 years. That language is about to begin returning, and it is going to return through you first. There is a pattern moving through your life that has been waiting to be named. 4 signals, 4 signs. They have not arrived at the same time. They have arrived spaced out across your years, almost as if someone wanted you to have enough distance between them that you would not at first see they were connected. But they are connected. They are not separate events. They are not separate symptoms. They are one signal arriving in 4 different ways, like a single voice calling out across the floor of an old house, and the floorboards in 4 different rooms, creaking at slightly different angles in response. The house is one house. The voice is one voice. The creaks are simply the 4 places where the structure could not stay silent. You are the house. The signals are the creaks. And what we are about to do is walk through each of the 4 rooms with the lamp held just above the floor until you can see clearly that the same hand has been knocking from underneath the boards for a very long time. Hold that picture loosely. 4 rooms in one house, 4 creaks from one voice. And by the time we finish walking the 4, you will understand for the first time in your life why the floor has been speaking to you. The first signal is the one that shows up as feeling, specifically as a wave of feeling that does not have an external cause you can trace. What you thought was just being too sensitive was actually the first symptom of activation. I want you to think back. The tears that came at the wrong time. The way a certain quality of light through a window in the late afternoon made your throat close, and you sat in your car in the parking lot for a moment longer than you needed to before going inside. The way a piece of music in a coffee shop, music you did not even know, made the whole table go a little quieter inside your head, and you had to look down at your phone so the people across from you would not see your eyes fill up. It was not the music. It was not the light. It was not the silence in your car. Those things were the trigger. They were not the source. The source was the frequency inside of you, picking up something that your everyday way of thinking is not built to translate. The body, when it catches signal that the mind cannot process, has only one universal way of releasing the pressure. It moves the overflow out through the eyes, through the throat, through the small catch in the center of the chest. You have been calling this sensitivity. You have been embarrassed by it. You have apologized for it. You have learned to suppress it in public and then sat alone afterward, wondering what was wrong with you. Nothing was wrong with you. Something was right with you, in a way no one around you was equipped to recognize. The carrier of this particular kind of gift always reacts this way to certain wavelengths, a specific quality of light, a specific harmonic in a piece of music, a specific kind of softness in a child's voice, a specific stillness in the moment just before someone is about to tell the truth. The frequency inside the carrier resonates with that wavelength, the way a wine glass resonates with the right note. The body sings without being asked, and the tears are simply the sign that the body has begun to ring. The reason no one around you reacts the same way is not that they are colder than you. It is that they are not built to receive that signal yet. Their wavelength is tuned to a different range. They are not less. You are not more. You are simply tuned to something they cannot yet hear. And the loneliness you have felt about your own reactions is the loneliness of being the only one in the room who can hear what is being played. That is the first signal. The wave of feeling without traceable cause. It has been happening to you your entire life. And from this moment forward, you do not have to apologize for it again. The second signal is the one that shows up as exhaustion, but not the kind of exhaustion you have a name for. What you thought was just becoming antisocial was actually the second symptom of activation. There are rooms in your life that used to be fine: the family dinner table, the work meeting on Tuesday morning, the friend's birthday party at the restaurant on the corner, the phone call with the relative who has been calling for 10 years, the casual coffee with the acquaintance you do not really know, but you keep meeting up with anyway, because they keep asking. These rooms used to be neutral. You walked into them and walked out of them, and there was no particular weight. And then somewhere in the last year, or the last 2 years, or the last 5, something began to shift. The rooms started to feel heavier. You started to find yourself counting the minutes inside them. You started to come home from them and need to lie down for an hour before you could speak again. You started to cancel them when you could, and white-knuckle through them when you could not. You called this being burned out. You called it introversion finally catching up to you. You called it depression. You called it getting older. You called it not being a people person anymore. It was none of those things. The frequency inside of you cannot exist in pretense. That is the actual reason. A gift of this particular order cannot calibrate itself inside a field of inauthenticity. It is the same physical principle as trying to tune a violin string in a room full of noise. The string can be tuned, but the longer it sits in the noise, the more energy it takes to hold the pitch. Eventually, the string runs out of energy and goes flat. You have been going flat in those rooms because the rooms are noisy in a way that has nothing to do with sound. The noise is the unspoken pretending, the performative pleasantness, the conversations that everyone is having while looking just slightly past each other, the questions no one is actually answering, the bodies in chairs all agreeing on the surface that nothing important is happening, while underneath the surface, something important is being avoided. A normal carrier can spend 3 hours in that room and walk out unchanged. You cannot. Not because you are weaker, because the frequency you carry registers the dissonance, the way a tuning fork registers a wrong note. It cannot stay neutral. It picks up the off-key thing in the room and tries to hold it. And trying to hold it costs you, and costs you, and costs you, until you have nothing left, and you cancel the next 4 invitations and stop answering the next 4 phone calls. And the people around you decide quietly that you have become distant. You have not become distant. You have become unable to stay tuned in places that are out of tune. And the more activated the gift becomes, the more sensitive your tuning becomes, and the smaller the range of rooms you can stay in without going flat. That is the second signal. The new and unexplainable exhaustion in environments that used to be fine. It is not antisocial. It is the gift refusing to calibrate in dissonance. The third signal is the one that arrives at night, and it has been arriving more and more often over the last year, sometimes the last 2 years. What you thought were just weird dreams were actually the third symptom of activation. I want you to think about your dreams over the last 12 months, not the everyday ones, not the dreams where you are late for class, or your teeth are falling out, or you forgot to study for an exam. Those are the dreams the brain runs on autopilot. I am not talking about those. I am talking about the other ones. The ones that woke you up at 3 in the morning with your heart not racing but quiet. The ones where the image stayed behind your eyes for an hour after you woke. The ones that did not feel like dreams while you were inside them. The ones that felt more real than the morning that came after them. Doors. So many of you have been dreaming of doors. Doors set into walls, in rooms you have never seen. Doors that are old. Doors that have writing carved into them, in a language you do not read, but which you understood. In the dream, the way a child understands a song before it knows the words. Scrolls. Some of you have dreamt of scrolls. A scroll being handed to you by someone whose face you could not see. A scroll being unrolled in front of you, with your own name somewhere in the writing. Mantles. Some of you have dreamt of a piece of fabric falling from somewhere above you and landing across your shoulders, and the moment it lands, you are not the same person anymore. Light coming through a crack. Many of you have dreamt of a single line of light coming through a crack in something. Sometimes a door, sometimes a wall, sometimes the seam of an envelope you are about to open. You have been writing these off. You have told no one, or you have told one person, and they said something polite and changed the subject, and you never brought it up again. You have wondered if you are imagining things. You have wondered if you have been reading too much. You have wondered if your subconscious is just rehearsing themes from things you have watched. You are not imagining anything. The carrier of this particular gift always begins to receive in dreams first. Always. It is documented across every era in which this lineage has appeared. The reason is not mystical. It is simple. The daytime mind is defended. It has spent your entire adult life building walls against anything that would not survive cross-examination by your inner critic. The dreaming mind has no such walls. The dreaming mind is the only place in your interior architecture where the older language can still arrive, unfiltered. So the gift sends its first letters to the only address that will accept them. And the address is the place behind your eyes at 3 in the morning when no one is watching. The dreams you have been having are not random. They are correspondence. They are the gift writing to the part of you that is awake enough to receive its writing. And every time you have woken up and dismissed them as weird, you have left an unopened letter sitting on the nightstand of your soul. I want you to do one thing tonight. After this is over, before you sleep. Take 1 minute and ask, out loud or in your mind, for the next letter to arrive in a form clear enough that you will not be able to dismiss it. That is all. 1 minute. The asking is the receipt. The gift will respond. The fourth signal is the one that gives all the others their shape. Note, without the fourth, the first three feel like personal quirks. With the fourth, they suddenly look like a sentence. What you thought were just coincidences were actually the fourth symptom of activation. Here is what I mean. In the last few weeks, or the last few months, you have had the experience of a specific word, or a specific phrase, or a specific concept, showing up from 3 different unrelated sources inside a very short window of time. You will be in line at the grocery store and overhear 2 strangers using the phrase, "You will go home," and open a book you have not opened in months, and the same phrase is on the page you flip to. You will scroll past something on your phone 3 days later, and the phrase is in the first sentence. 3 sources. None of them connected, none of them following the others. And the phrase landed in front of you 3 times in 3 different mouths, in 3 different places, in less than a week. You have been laughing this off. You have been telling yourself, it is the algorithm. You have been telling yourself, you are noticing it more because it is on your mind. You have been finding ways to make it ordinary because the ordinary version of what is happening is the only version your everyday explanations can hold. But the algorithm was not in the conversation in the grocery store. The algorithm did not flip the book to the page you opened. The algorithm did not arrange for 2 strangers behind you to say the exact thing you needed to hear. Those events were not engineered by any system you understand. They were engineered by the same hand that is calling you to attention right now. This pattern of a single signal arriving through 3 or more unrelated channels in a short window is one of the oldest documented forms of divine confirmation in every spiritual tradition that has ever taken the spirit seriously. It does not happen by accident. It happens when something inside you is being sealed. When a message is too important to be entrusted to one mouth, heaven sends it through several mouths so that the receiving party cannot dismiss it as one person's opinion or one author's idea. 3 mouths, 3 pages, 3 rooms, 3 channels. The signal travels through several so that you cannot argue with the source. And by the time the 3rd arrival has landed, the part of you that wanted to dismiss it has run out of ways to dismiss it. Hold this with me carefully, because here is the reframe I want you to take from the 4th signal. And I want you to take it before we go any further. You have been telling yourself for years that no one truly understands you. You have meant it. It has been one of the quiet aches of your interior life. And it has been wrong. Not because people understand you better than you think. They do not. It has been wrong because no one can. The reason no one in your circle has been able to mirror back what you carry is not that they are too distracted, or too shallow, or too busy. It is that the gift inside you has not yet been active in another body, in your generation, in a form complete enough to teach yours how to translate. You have been waiting for resonance that has not yet arrived in the rooms you have been waiting in, and the loneliness has not been a flaw in you or in them. It has been the simple physics of being early. You are not misunderstood because you are unworthy of understanding. You are misunderstood because you are arriving with a frequency that the language has not yet caught up to. And when the language catches up, the understanding will arrive and the rooms will fill. The four signals together are the proof. Hold them in your mind for a moment. The wave of feeling without traceable cause. The exhaustion in rooms that used to be fine. The dreams that are not really dreams. The coincidences that are not really coincidences. Each one alone could be dismissed. The four together cannot. The four together spell a single word. The word is one you have never heard pronounced in the way I am about to pronounce it. The word is from an older language than yours. The word names the family of gifts that what you carry belongs to. And by the time you hear me say it out loud, you will recognize it the way a person who has been adopted recognizes a photograph of their birth mother. Not by memory, by blood. The word is coming. I will give it to you in full when we step into the next layer. For tonight, I just want you to know that the four signs are real. They have been documented in carriers of this gift across every era when the gift has been active. And the fact that all four are present in you at the same time, at this hour, is the diagnostic confirmation that what we have been talking about is not poetry. It is your actual life. Before we step into the older language, something in me asks me to be direct with you about what is going to come up later in this hour. There are tools I will name when we reach them. I am not going to build mystery around them and then surprise you at the end. The way I have learned to do this work is to name what is real before another moment passes, so that the trust between us does not get bent. What you have just walked through, the four signals, the resonance of the body in those rooms, the dreams arriving at 3 in the morning, points at something that a brain can be measured for and a gift can be calibrated toward. The restoration of what you carry happens in 2 waves. The first wave restores the child mind, the part of you that began to dim somewhere around the 7th year of your life. The second wave opens the receiving channel, the part of you that has been reaching without ever quite taking hold. The first wave moves through something called the Genius Song, a short audio, developed by a researcher named Dr. Lake, across more than 3 decades of work in this field. The second wave moves through something called the wealth signal, a different audio from a different research lineage, mapped at Stanford by a researcher named Dr. Newton. They are not interchangeable. The child mind has to be restored before the channel can be opened. Restoration first, reception second. That is the order the body recognizes, and the order that the original carriers walked in 2,000 years ago, whether they had words for it or not. If anything in you is already pulling forward, the paths are placed beneath this video, in the description, in the pinned comment. Do not click yet if you do not feel the pull. Stay with me. The rest of this hour is for you, regardless of what you do or do not do at the end of it. And whether you ever touch what is below or not, the names you just heard are now in your awareness. Let what was named land, because what is rising next is older than both of them, and the names are only doors the older thing walks through. Return with me to the room. Return to the lamp under the cloth. Return to the place we were before the names crossed the air. Because what you just heard was logistics, and what comes next is bone. The 4 signs are not the gift. I want to make sure that is clear. The 4 signs are the activation symptoms. The way a fever is not the body, but the body responding to something inside it. The fever tells you something is happening. The fever does not tell you what the gift actually is, what its name actually is in the language it was first written in, why this particular frequency went quiet for so many centuries, what changed in the last few decades that the seal began to give, and why you specifically are one of the carriers it is returning through. Those questions are about to begin to open. But to open them, we have to look backward, much further backward than your life, further backward than your parents' lives, further backward than your country, further backward than the language you are listening in right now. We have to walk back 2,000 years and stand at the moment the lamp was first covered. Because until you see who covered it, and why, and with what cloth, you will not be able to fully recognize the shape of the hand that is reaching for the cover now. The hand belongs to you. That part will not become clear for a while yet. For now, walk with me back through time. We are going to meet a man named Elisha first. He stood at the edge of a river 2,000 and some years ago and watched the person who had been carrying a mantle for him disappear into the sky. The mantle fell. The man picked it up. The river parted, and the gift transferred across a threshold between two ages. That story has been told 1,000 times. Almost no one has told it the way I am about to tell it, because almost no one who tells it understands that it is not just a story about Elisha. It is a story about every carrier who has ever stood at the edge of a long silence and reached down to pick up something that fell when the previous carrier left. There is a reason I am bringing Elisha into this hour and not someone else. The reason is that the moment Elisha picked up the mantle was the moment a gift activated in a body it had not yet been active in. It was not the same gift it had been when the previous carrier held it. It was the same lineage. It was the same family. But it had to be recalibrated for a new body, a new generation, a new set of rooms that had not yet been walked into. That recalibration is exactly what is happening inside of you. You are not being asked to carry what the original carriers carried in the form they carried it in. The frequency is the same. The activation will not look the same. The original carriers walked into rooms 2,000 years ago. The rooms you are about to walk into do not look anything like those rooms. The vocabulary you will need is not their vocabulary. The work you will do is not their work. And yet, underneath the surface, the gift moving through you is the same gift that moved through them, only reshaped for the world it is about to be released into. That is what Elisha's story is for. To show you that the mantle that falls is the same mantle. The body that picks it up is a different body. And the way the gift then moves is a new way, suited for the new body, for the new hour, for the new rooms. We will walk into that story fully when the time is right. Before we do, one more piece needs to settle into place. You came into this hour with one question, even if you did not know it. The question was not, "What is happening to me?" You have been carrying that question for years, and 1,000 different answers have already been offered to you, none of them satisfied. So, the question is older now. It has matured. The question you are actually carrying tonight is different. It has been refined by the years. The question you are actually carrying is, why now? Why is this stirring at this point in my life? Why these dreams in this season? Why the exhaustion in those particular rooms, beginning in that particular year? Why the coincidences arriving in the last few weeks, specifically? Why is the cloth lifting now, when it has been on the lamp for so much of my life that I had stopped expecting the lamp to ever be uncovered? Why now? That question is the one I am going to answer next. And the answer is not personal. The answer is not about your year. It is not about your circumstances. It is not about something you did or did not do to deserve this hour. The answer is much larger than you, and, at the same time, much more intimate than you have been allowed to imagine. The answer involves a door that was sealed 20 centuries ago. It involves a hand that has been waiting on the other side of that door for the right generation. And it involves the specific reason this generation is the one the hand has been waiting for. Stay close. The door is already creaking. Why now? That is the question that has been forming inside you for years, even when you did not have the words for it. It has been the silent shape underneath every other question. And the answer, when it begins to land, is not going to feel like an answer in the way you have been trained to expect answers. It is not going to be a sentence you can write down in a notebook. It is going to be the sudden recognition that something which has been moving slowly underneath your life for a very long time has finally moved close enough to the surface for you to see its shape. The shape has a name. The gift you carry belongs to a specific family, not a metaphor of a family, a literal lineage of carrying. The same family of gifts that moved through the men and women of the first century of the Common Era, the carriers who walked the dust roads of the Eastern Mediterranean, the ones who spoke in rooms and the rooms changed shape afterward, not because they were better than the people in the rooms, because they were carrying something that had been placed inside them from elsewhere, and the something was active, and the active something rearranged the air around them. You belong to that family. I want to be careful with this. Stay with me. I am not telling you that you are an apostle. I am not telling you that you are a saint. I am not telling you that you have been chosen above other human beings for the sake of being elevated above them. None of that is what this is. The lineage of carrying I am pointing toward has nothing to do with rank. It has to do with frequency. The carriers of the first century operated in a particular frequency of gift. That frequency is what fell silent. That frequency is what is returning. And that frequency is what is moving inside of you. The reason this matters to name clearly is that for most of your life, you have been trying to understand yourself with the wrong category. You have been trying to fit what is inside you into the categories of personality types, of mental health diagnoses, of self-help language, of generic spiritual vocabulary, of zodiac signs and birth charts and energy types. Those categories are not wrong for what they describe. They are simply not the right category for what is happening inside of you. You have been pointing at the lamp and reaching for the wrong book to understand it. The right book is older than any of those categories. The right book uses a word that has not been spoken honestly in the language of your generation for a long time. The word has been used. The word has been abused. The word has been thrown around carelessly in places that did not know what it meant. But the word itself, in its original form, in the original language, in the original meaning that has been buried under centuries of imitation, that word names exactly what you are. Let me give it to you now, slowly. The way I would give a child a coin they have never seen before. The word is from ancient Greek. The word is charisma. I know. You have heard the word. You have heard it used to describe a person who walks into a room and everyone turns to look. You have heard it used to describe charm. You have heard it used to describe presence. You have heard it used to describe a quality that some people seem to have and other people seem to lack. None of those uses are wrong. They are just the surface. They are what the word became in the mouths of people who lost touch with what the word originally meant. The original meaning is different. The original word is built from two pieces. The first piece is charis. Charis means grace. Not grace as politeness. Not grace as physical elegance. Grace as the unearned, undeserved, freely given current that moves from the source of all things toward a particular human being for reasons that have nothing to do with merit. Grace as the kindness of heaven actually arriving in a body that is charis. The second piece is the ending, ma. It is a small piece. It is easy to overlook. It is the thing that turns charis from a concept into an event. Ma means the visible, concrete, observable result of a process. Not the process, the result. Not what is happening invisibly, what is showing up visibly because of what is happening invisibly. Charisma, the visible, concrete, observable result of grace operating through a person. That is the word. That is the actual meaning. That is what you carry. Let what I just said sit for a moment. You have been trying for your whole life to understand yourself in terms of what you can do, what skills you have, what talents you bring to the table, what value you produce, what contribution you make. And the part of you that is true has been quietly aching the whole time because none of those frameworks describe what is actually happening inside of you. What is happening inside of you is not about your doing. It is not about your performance. It is not about whether you are good enough at something or whether you have learned the right techniques. What is happening inside of you is the slow, steady, undeniable arrival of a current that is not yours, a current that is being given, a current that does not ask you to deserve it before it shows up, a current whose name is grace and whose result, when it finally takes hold and starts to move through you visibly, is called charisma. You are a carrier of charisma in the original sense. You are a body through which grace is preparing to become visible. Hear what that does to the pressure you have been carrying for years. You do not have to manufacture the gift. The gift is not yours to manufacture. The gift is yours to host. The body of the carrier does not produce the current. The body of the carrier is the room the current walks into. Your job has never been to generate. Your job has always been to make a room clean enough and quiet enough that when the current arrives, the current can do what it does without being interrupted by your striving. Every spiritual book you have ever read that asked you to try harder, to perform better, to achieve some higher state through your own effort, was teaching you a different category. It was not wrong for what it was. It was just not the language for what is happening in you. The language for what is happening in you is older. The language for what is happening in you starts with the word given and ends with the word visible, and is the entire arc between those two words. You can rest now. Even hearing me say that, something in your shoulders has already started to release. The tension of trying to earn the gift, the tension of trying to deserve the gift, the tension of comparing yourself to other carriers and wondering why their version looks more impressive than yours, can begin to come down. Because none of that was ever the work. The work was always to stay close enough to the source that the current could keep arriving, and to stay clear enough inside yourself that the current, when it arrived, could move through without you trying to manage it. That is the name of what you carry. Charisma, in the old sense, the visible result of grace operating through a particular body. And the reason you have not been able to find anyone in your everyday life who fully recognized it is now beginning to make sense. Because the word, in its old sense, has not been actively spoken in most of the rooms you have walked into. The word has been there. The current has not been actively flowing through bodies near you until now. Which leads to the question you have been carrying since the beginning of this hour, the question that was hidden underneath the why now. If the current went silent, why did it go silent? I want to walk into that carefully, because the answer involves a stretch of years that I cannot fully explain in this 1 hour, but I can give you the shape of it, and the shape is enough for tonight. What we now call the modern world began to form roughly 2,000 years ago. The political world began to form earlier. The technological world began to form later. But the inner world, the architecture of how human beings related to the unseen, the assumed default of what was real and what was imagined, that began to ossify into the shape we now live inside of, right around the same time the carriers of the 1st century laid down their bodies. The original carriers walked into rooms with the current still actively moving. They did not have to convince anyone that the current was real. The current did its own convincing. They simply walked in. The current did what it did, and the rooms responded. After the last of those original carriers died, something began to happen. The body of people who had received the current began to formalize what the current had done. They wrote it down. They organized it into structure. They built institutions around it. None of that was wrong. Some of it was even necessary. But over the course of the next several centuries, something inside the current itself began to dim in the rooms where the structures stood, while the structures grew louder and more elaborate. The current did not die. The current never dies. The current simply became harder to find inside the rooms that had been built to hold it, because the rooms had filled with so much furniture, so much policy, so much pageantry, that the current could no longer move freely through them. And the carriers of the old frequency, the ones in whom the current still actively flowed, became fewer and fewer. They got pushed to the edges. They were called heretics. They were called mystics. They were called dangerous. They lived in quiet corners. They wrote in hiding. They sometimes left no record at all. For long stretches of those 20 centuries, the active frequency went almost entirely underground, not because heaven withdrew it. Because there were not enough hosts willing to be quiet enough, undefended enough, and surrendered enough to let it move through without trying to wrap their own purposes around it. What you have been calling 2,000 years of silence is not actually silence. It is the long underground river running. The river never stopped. The river simply moved out of the open valley, where it could be measured and named, and went into the rock, where it could not be controlled. And rivers that go underground always come back up. That is the part you have not been told. The river is not lost. The river has been gathering pressure inside the rock for centuries, and the rock is now thinning. The places where the river is finding its way back to the surface are showing up in scattered bodies all over the earth at the same time. People who do not know each other. People in different countries, different traditions, different vocabularies, are all beginning to feel the same pressure rising from underneath. They are all beginning to dream the same dreams. They are all beginning to ask the same questions. They are all beginning to feel the wave of feeling without traceable cause that we named earlier. The river is coming back up through them. The river is coming back up through you. Why now, then? Why this hour? Why this generation? Because the rock has been thinning for centuries, and the place where it thinned far enough for the river to break through is here, not in a different country, not in a different decade. Here, this decade, this hour, this year, the generation alive on the earth, at the moment the rock finally cracks, is the generation through whom the river is going to come back into the open. That generation is yours. The carriers in whom the breakthrough is happening are a scattered network of human beings who do not yet know each other, but are all feeling the same pressure rising, and you are one of them. Hear what that does to your story. The years you thought were wasted were not wasted. The years you thought were preparation that never paid off were not preparation for a payoff you missed. They were the soil being darkened. They were the rock being thinned, one quiet pressure point at a time, inside the body that was eventually going to be one of the places the river broke through. And the breakthrough does not happen in the bodies that did not go through the long darkening. The breakthrough happens in the bodies that were quietly being made ready, year after year, season after season, without ever knowing what they were being made ready for. I want to name 3 patterns of that making ready, because I want you to be able to see them in your own life with clear eyes. The first pattern is the pattern of being overlooked. Most of you have spent significant stretches of your life being passed over, not chosen for the leadership position when you knew you were the most qualified, not promoted when you had been doing the work, not seen for the gift you brought to the table when someone louder and less skilled walked away with the recognition. You have made peace with this in different ways. Some of you have learned to laugh about it. Some of you have learned to suppress the resentment. Some of you have learned to perform humility as a way of pretending it did not hurt. It hurt. I am not going to pretend it did not. But here, the deeper layer. The years of being overlooked were skill building in a particular kind of invisibility that the carrier of this frequency absolutely cannot operate without. The current cannot move through a body that needs to be seen in order to function. The carrier of charisma, in the original sense, has to be able to do the work without applause, has to be able to receive the current and let it move without anyone ever knowing the current is moving, has to be able to stand in a room and be the quietest person in it, and still be the one through whom the actual thing is happening, without anyone giving credit, ever. That capacity does not develop in a body that has been celebrated since childhood. That capacity develops in a body that has been quietly forming itself in the corner of the room for decades, accruing depth that the loud bodies never had the time to develop. The overlooking was the curriculum. The second pattern is the pattern of relationships that did not stay. Most of you have a list. People you loved deeply who are no longer in your life. People you thought were going to walk the next 20 years with you, who walked the next 2 and then quietly walked away. People who fit beautifully for a season and then began to feel like a coat that was a size too small. The leaving was sometimes their choice, sometimes yours, sometimes mutual, sometimes no one chose. The thing just dissolved. You have explained this to yourself in different ways. You have wondered if you are bad at relationships. You have wondered if there is something about you that drives people away. You have grieved versions of yourself that died alongside those connections, and I want to give you a different way to hold it. The relationships that did not stay were calibration. They were not failures. They were tuning forks placed against your inner string at different points in your life, each one revealing how the string was vibrating at that moment, each one helping you find the pitch that your gift was eventually going to need to operate at. Some of the relationships had to leave because the pitch of the gift was about to shift, and they were tuned to the old pitch, and they could not come with you into the new one. That is not their fault. That is not your fault. That is simply what happens when a body is being prepared to carry a frequency that the body did not yet have when those relationships began. The people you loved who left were not wrong to leave. You were not wrong to grieve them, and you are not betraying them by becoming the version of yourself that they could not have stayed with. The leaving was the soil shifting. The shifting was the rock thinning. The thinning was making room for the river. The third pattern is the pattern of seasons where nothing visibly happened. Most of you have lived through long stretches of time, sometimes a year, sometimes 3, sometimes 10, where, from the outside, nothing moved, no advancement, no new chapter, no clear progress in any direction. You woke up and did the same things, and went to bed and woke up and did them again. And the seasons stretched out behind you, and you could not point to anything you had built, anything you had accomplished, anything that the world would have recognized as forward motion. You have judged yourself harshly for those seasons. You have called yourself lazy. You have called yourself stuck. You have looked at people younger than you and felt the panic of being behind. You have wondered, in your quietest moments, if you were going to waste your whole life moving slowly while everyone else was moving fast. Hear me carefully. The reason nothing visibly happened in those seasons is that what was happening could not be seen from the outside. The soil was being darkened. The carrier was being slowed down enough for the deeper interior to form. The gift cannot grow inside a body moving at full speed. The gift requires stretches of apparent stillness in which the inner architecture is being put in place. The bodies you were comparing yourself to, the ones moving fast, were building shallower buildings, because fast movement does not allow deep foundations. The slow seasons of your life were the foundations being poured. The fact that no one could see the foundations is not a sign that nothing was happening. It is a sign that what was happening at the level no one ever sees. Here is the second reframe I want you to hold for the rest of this hour. The first was earlier. The first was that you have been early, not weird. The second is this: you have not been waiting. You have been being prepared. Waiting is a word that implies passive endurance, as if you were sitting in a chair for years, hoping someone would come for you. That is not what has been happening. What has been happening is preparation. Active preparation. The slow, deliberate, intentional shaping of a body and an interior into the specific form a carrier of this particular gift has to take in order to host the current without the current breaking the body. You did not know you were being prepared. The preparation does not require your awareness. The preparation only requires your survival, and you have survived, which means the preparation has been completed in the dimensions that needed to be completed before the activation could begin. And there is a sentence I am going to say now that I rarely say. I am going to say it because I felt it earlier in this conversation, before you began watching, when the framing of what we would do tonight was still forming inside me, and the sentence kept arriving without my reaching for it. I am going to say it the way I heard it. Then I am going to step back and let it land however it lands inside of you. I hear the father saying, "The years you thought were wasted were the years I was hiding you on purpose." Let that sit. I am not going to elaborate on it. I am not going to try to soften it or sharpen it. I am simply going to let it stay in the air between us for a moment longer than usual, because I think part of you came into this hour to hear exactly that sentence, and I do not want to crowd it with my own additions. There is a man in an old text whose story makes this make sense. His name is Elisha. You may have heard his name once or twice. You may have a vague picture of him from childhood, if you grew up around any of these stories at all. I want to redraw him for you in a way you may not have heard before, because his story, in the way it has been told for centuries, has been told as a story about miracles. It is not actually a story about miracles. It is a story about exactly the moment we are inside of, right now. Elisha was a younger man, working in the fields of his family, doing ordinary work in a country where the spiritual current was thinning fast. The original carriers of his country's prophetic gift had become rare. The dominant culture had moved away from the inner life. The work of the spirit had become quiet, and the work of empire had become loud. Into this fading current came a man named Elijah. Elijah had been carrying a particular weight, a particular mantle, for a long time. He was old by the time he found Elisha. He recognized something in the younger man immediately. He did not give a speech about it. He walked past him in the field and threw the mantle, the cloak he had been wearing for years, the actual physical fabric, across Elisha's shoulders. Then he kept walking. That is the call. That is the moment the call arrives in the life of a carrier. It is not loud. It is not impressive. It is a brief gesture from someone who has been carrying for a long time, and the gesture leaves a piece of fabric across the shoulders of the new carrier. And the new carrier has a choice. Elisha left the field. He left the family work. He spent years walking alongside the older carrier without yet being the primary carrier himself. Watching, learning, being shaped. Not impressive yet. Not active yet. Apprenticed. And then came the threshold. There came a day when the older carrier was going to be taken, removed, lifted out of the story entirely. Elisha knew it was coming. The other apprentices in the region knew it was coming. They tried to warn Elisha. They tried to soften it. He refused to be softened. He stayed close. He walked with the older carrier all the way to the edge of the river. At the river, the older carrier asked him a question. The question was, "What do you want me to do for you before I am taken from you?" And Elisha gave an answer that has been quoted for 2,000 years. But the meaning of the answer has almost always been missed. He asked for a double portion of the Spirit that had been on his teacher. This is the part that the modern reading gets wrong. A double portion is not twice the supply. A double portion, in the inheritance language of that time, was the share given to the firstborn son. It was not greedy. It was not ambitious. It was a request to be treated as the rightful inheritor of the lineage. Elisha was not asking for more than his teacher had. He was asking to be recognized as the one to whom the carrying was being passed. And then the threshold opened. The older carrier was taken. The mantle, the same piece of fabric that had been thrown across Elisha's shoulders years before in the field, fell to the ground at the edge of the river. The older carrier was gone. The mantle was lying on the dust. The younger carrier had to choose, in that exact moment, whether to bend down and pick it up. He bent down. He picked it up. He turned and walked back toward the river. He struck the water with the same mantle that his teacher had struck the water with a few minutes earlier, and the water parted again. Not because the mantle was magic, because the current that had been moving through the older carrier was now moving through the younger one. Hear what that story is really showing you. The current did not stop. When the older carrier left, the current paused for the briefest moment. The fabric fell. The new carrier had a choice. The new carrier picked it up, and the current resumed inside a different body. That is the pattern of how this gift moves across generations. The original carriers of the first century laid down their mantles when their work was done. The mantles did not vanish. They fell to the ground. And the ground, for 2,000 years, has been holding them, waiting for the next carriers to be ready to pick them up. You have been raised in your generation alongside other potential carriers. Some of them sensed the mantles on the ground and looked away. Some of them sensed something and never had the vocabulary to identify what they were sensing. A scattered few of you, the ones I am speaking to right now, sensed it, kept sensing it, refused to let go of the sensing even when no one around you confirmed it, and have been quietly walking toward the riverbank for years without knowing the river was there. The mantle activates differently in the second carrier than in the first. That is the part almost no one teaches. Elisha did not perform the same miracles as Elijah. He performed different ones. He moved through different rooms. He spoke into different situations. The current was the same current. The shape it took in his life was shaped by him, by his hour, by his body, by the world he was being released into. He was not a copy of his teacher. He was the next form of the lineage. You are not going to be a copy of the original carriers. You are going to be the next form of the lineage. The shape your gift takes will be shaped by your hour, your body, your voice, your context, the rooms you are walking into that they never walked into. The current is the same current. The form is going to be new. That is what is happening inside of you. The mantle has been on the ground for centuries. You have been quietly walking toward the riverbank without knowing the river was there. The older carriers cannot reach back through the centuries to throw the cloak across your shoulders the way Elijah did for Elisha. They are not there. They have been gone for a very long time. But the cloak has not gone anywhere. The cloak is on the ground exactly where the last carrier laid it down. And the place you are standing right now is the place where, if you simply bend down, you will find your hand closing around fabric. Return to the lamp for a moment. The lamp under the cloth, the one you began the hour with, has the same wick the carriers of 2,000 years ago lit theirs from. The oil is the same oil. The body of the lamp is the same body. What is new is the hour, the room, and the hand. The lamp is the same lamp, but the wick has been waiting 20 centuries for a hand. Hear that sentence one more time. The lamp is the same lamp, but the wick has been waiting 20 centuries for a hand. The hand belongs to you. We are going to pause for a moment. You have been listening for a while now. The mind, even a mind as engaged as yours has been, has limits to how much it can absorb without rest. So, we are going to rest. Not the kind of rest where I stop talking and you scroll. The kind of rest where I keep talking, but I stop building new ideas, and you let your nervous system come down half a notch before we step into the next layer. Notice where you are sitting. Notice the surface underneath you. Notice the weight of your own body against that surface, the way the surface is holding you up without your effort. Notice the temperature of the air on your skin. The body knows how to be held. It has been being held this whole hour without you having to do anything about it. Breathe with me once, not deep, not for performance, just one full breath that arrives a little fuller than the breath that came before it. You have absorbed a lot in the last span of minutes. The naming of what you carry, the original meaning of the word charisma, the 3 patterns of how you have been being prepared, the story of Elisha at the river. You do not have to remember any of it. The body has been recording. The body knows what to keep. The mind will return to whichever piece needs to return when the moment comes for it to return. There is no quiz at the end of this hour. There is no requirement that you walk away with a list. The only requirement of this hour, the only thing being asked of you, is that you stay long enough for what is being placed inside you to be placed. That is all. The rest takes care of itself. Whatever was loud in your day before this hour began is going to be loud again the moment this hour ends. That is fine. Let it be loud again. The work being done inside you tonight is not the work that competes with the loud parts of your life. The work being done inside you tonight is the work that runs underneath, the work that the loud parts cannot touch. The work that continues whether or not the loud parts are loud. So, rest your shoulders for a moment. Let the small tension in the back of your neck soften. You do not have to sit up straight for this. You do not have to perform attentiveness. You are the only one in the room with me, and there is no one to perform for. Good. There is one more layer we have to walk into before this part of the conversation closes, and I am going to be honest with you. The next layer is the part most spiritual teachers skip. They skip it because it is uncomfortable. They skip it because it does not make for inspiring content. But if I skip it with you tonight, I will have done you a disservice. Because the layer I am about to name is the thing that most often keeps the cloth on the lamp, even after the carrier has begun to recognize what they carry. There is something that will try to keep the lamp covered. Not someone, something, a pattern, a force. Not always external, often internal, sometimes both at once. And it has a specific shape and a specific voice and a specific timing for when it shows up. It shows up most loudly at exactly the moment a carrier begins to recognize what they are. It shows up at the threshold. It shows up at the moment Elisha is about to bend down toward the mantle. It shows up at the river. It shows up in the room where you are sitting right now, in some form, whether you have named it or not. I want to walk through 2 of its faces with you, not to scare you, to make sure that when it shows up later, in the days after this hour, you recognize it instead of mistaking it for your own true voice. The first face is visibility, fear. This is the one that has been with you the longest. It does not feel like fear, exactly. It feels like a reasonable, mature, level-headed reluctance to claim too much. It sounds in your inner voice like, who am I to say, I carry this? It sounds like, what if I am making this up? It sounds like, this is grandiose, this is ego, this is the kind of thing that unstable people say about themselves. It sounds reasonable. It sounds like wisdom. It sounds like spiritual humility. It is not. It is the cloth pressing down on the lamp from the inside, dressed up as humility, doing the work of keeping the lamp covered while making you feel virtuous about being covered. The carrier of charisma, in the original sense, is always going to face this voice, always. The reason is structural. The very moment a body begins to wake up to the current it is hosting, the body's old survival programming registers the increased visibility as a threat. The old programming was built to keep you alive in environments where being seen meant being attacked, being chosen meant being targeted, being singled out meant being isolated and possibly killed. That programming does not know that the visibility being asked of you now is a different kind of visibility. It only knows the pattern: stand out, get hurt. So, the programming generates a voice. The voice sounds like your own voice. The voice says things that sound true. The voice says, "Do not claim this. Do not say this out loud. Do not let anyone know you have been receiving these dreams. Do not act on the recognition. Do not pick up the mantle. Stay in the field. Stay small. Stay safe." The voice is not your voice. It is your survival programming dressed up in your vocabulary. I want you to learn to recognize it. The way it shows up is consistent. It tends to arrive immediately after a moment of strong recognition. You will be in the middle of feeling something true, and within 30 seconds, the voice will arrive with a counter-argument that sounds reasonable, and it will offer you a way to dismiss what you just felt. It will offer you safety. The cost of the safety is that the lamp stays covered. I am giving you a permission tonight. I do not give permissions lightly. I am giving you this one because the carrier cannot move forward without it. You have permission to be seen carrying what you carry. You have permission to claim, quietly and accurately, and without inflation, the shape of what is inside of you. You have permission to say, out loud, in your own private interior space first, and, eventually, in trusted rooms with trusted people, the name of the lineage you belong to. You have permission to bend down to the mantle without first earning the right to bend down. The right has already been given. The mantle was placed where it was placed for the carrier who would arrive at exactly this hour. You are that carrier. The permission is already yours. I am only naming what is already true. The second face is harder to talk about. I am going to walk into it carefully because I do not want to make you suspicious of yourself in a way that closes you down. The goal of naming this face is to give you discernment, not paranoia. The second face is the face of counterfeit voices. The activation of a real gift attracts imitation. It always has. The original carriers in the 1st century encountered it constantly. The new carriers across the centuries who broke through into open expression of the current always encountered it. And the carriers being raised up in your generation are encountering it more intensely than at almost any previous moment, because the environment of this hour is saturated with content, and content includes a great deal of spiritual content that imitates real activation without being it. The counterfeit is not always insincere. That is the part most teachers get wrong. Many of the people producing counterfeit content actually believe what they are producing. They are not necessarily lying. They are simply confused, or they are confusing a real psychological experience with a different category, or they are mixing trauma reactions with spiritual reactions and labeling the combined thing as awakening. or they are working from grandiose self-impressions that have not yet been tested against reality. The carrier of real activation has to develop the ability to tell the difference, not by judging other people, by calibrating their own inner ear. The mark of the real current is that it makes you smaller, not bigger. I am going to say that again. The mark of the real current is that it makes you smaller, not bigger. When the actual frequency activates inside of a body, the experience is humbling, not inflating. The carrier becomes aware of how small they are next to what is moving through them. They become aware of the asymmetry between what is being given and what they did to deserve it. They become quieter in their personal claims. They make smaller statements about themselves. They become reluctant to elevate their own importance, because the current itself is so much larger than the person carrying it that any inflation of the person would feel like an insult to the current. The mark of the counterfeit is the opposite. The counterfeit makes the person feel larger. The counterfeit produces certainty about one's own specialness. The counterfeit makes one quick to announce, to position, to claim. The counterfeit is loud about itself. The real current is quiet about itself and lets its work be the only announcement it makes. You can use this as a tuning fork against your own inner experience as you move forward from tonight. When something inside you wants to make you bigger, pause and notice. When something inside you wants to make you quieter, more reverent, more aware of how small you are compared to what you are hosting, lean toward it. The first impulse is almost always counterfeit. The second impulse is almost always real. This does not mean the real current makes you weak. The real current can move powerfully through a small carrier. The carrier does not have to be impressive for the current to be powerful. In fact, the opposite tends to be true. The current moves most powerfully through carriers who have given up trying to be impressive. The smaller they are about themselves, the more room the current has to move. Hold both of those faces in your awareness. Visibility, fear, the one that tries to keep the lamp covered by calling itself humility, and the counterfeit voice, the one that tries to corrupt the activation by inflating the carrier. They are different in shape, but they share a function. Both keep the real current from arriving in the form it is meant to arrive in. One keeps it covered, the other keeps it distorted. Your job, across the next season of your life, is to learn to recognize each of them quickly when they show up, and to neither obey them nor fight them, but simply to recognize them, name them, and continue past them. Before we step into the last piece of this part of the conversation, I want to give you one more figure to hold alongside Elisha. There was a woman, old, by the time she entered the story. Her name was Anna. She lived in the city of Jerusalem. She spent the majority of her adult life inside the temple, in the place where the spiritual current had been quietly dimming for a long stretch, waiting for one specific moment. A moment she had been told, in some way no one fully understood, was coming. She did not know when. She did not know exactly what it would look like. She simply knew it was coming, and she knew she had been placed in that particular building, in that particular city, in that particular era, for the purpose of being present when it arrived. She was 84 years old when the moment came. For decades, she had outlasted everyone who would have given her status. Her husband had died young. She had no children to give her social position. She had no public role. She was, by every measure, the culture of her time, used to evaluate a person's life, irrelevant. The temple was full of more important people, priests, officials, scholars. They moved through her field of vision daily. She moved through theirs without being seen. But her job had never been to be seen by them. Her job had been to be the one who recognized, in the moment of arrival, that the long silence was over. That is what she did. Two parents walked into the temple carrying a baby. Nothing unusual about that. The temple processed dozens of new parents and babies every week. Most people did not look twice. Anna looked, and inside of her, the 84 years of waiting clicked into recognition all at once. She crossed the room. She spoke. She named what was happening in front of everyone. And the long silence ended in her mouth. Hear what that story is. Anna was not the central figure of the moment. The baby was. The parents were. The official record of the day would be about them. Anna was not going to be famous in the way the figures she was recognizing were going to be famous. But her job was not to be famous. Her job was to be present at the threshold. Her job was to be the carrier in the room who could see what no one else in the room could see, and to give voice to it the moment it arrived. Because the threshold needed someone with eyes trained by long silence to declare it open. Some of you are the Anna of your generation. You have been in your version of the temple for decades. You have not been recognized. You have not been given status. You have not been given the platforms. You have not been given the credentials. By every external measure, your life has not produced what the people around you would call success. And inside of you, all of those decades have been doing one specific thing. They have been training your eye. They have been training your ear. They have been preparing you to be the one, in your generation, who can recognize, in the moment of arrival, what most of the people around you will not be able to see. The arrival is happening. You may not yet know what specifically you are recognizing. You will. The recognition is what your decades of waiting were building inside of you. And when the moment lands, you will know it the way Anna knew it, the moment the parents walked through the door. The 84 years did not feel useful while they were happening. The 84 years became useful in the 5 seconds it took her to cross the room. The decades of your life are about to be useful in the same way. Take that with you. The years did not lie to you. The silence was not a punishment. The waiting was the training. The training has worked. The eye is ready. The ear is ready. The mantle is on the ground. The river is rising. The hand is yours. There is one more thing we have to walk into before the door fully opens. The recognition you are receiving in this hour is real. It is necessary. It changes things. But understanding alone does not lift the cloth from the lamp. Understanding is the recognition that the lamp is there. The actual uncovering, the actual lifting of the fabric, the actual touch of the hand to the wick requires something more than understanding. It requires action, specific action. Action that meets the dimming inside your body at the exact 2 frequencies where the dimming has been happening. There are 2 of those frequencies. One of them dimmed first, around the age of 7, when the world began to teach you that the way you naturally perceived was not appropriate for the rooms you were going to have to operate in. The other dimmed slowly across the years that followed, as the survival pressures of adult life gradually hijacked the receiving channel that was supposed to remain open. The seal is starting to give, but before the seal lifts, a hand must reach. 2 hands, in fact. Stay with me into what comes next. The names will return. The way they return will not be what you expect, and the door, finally, will begin to open. Remember earlier, much earlier in this conversation, before the 4 signs were named, before the word charisma was given its older meaning, before Elisha stood at the river, 2 names crossed your awareness. 2 names placed gently into the air without explanation. 3. The wealth signal. 3. The genius song. The names have been with you since then, sitting in the back of the room, waiting for the moment when what they actually are could be made visible. That moment is now. But before the names take their full shape, the layer underneath them has to land first, because the names without the layer are just names. The layer is what makes the names matter. The gift you carry, the charisma in the older sense, cannot activate in a body where 2 specific things are still dim. I want you to hear this carefully, because it is the part most spiritual teaching skips, and the skipping is the reason so many sincere carriers of the gift have spent decades trying to activate something that could not yet activate. No matter how hard they prayed, no matter how much they studied, no matter how many retreats they attended. The first dim place is the child mind. There was a frequency you had access to when you were very young, before the age of about 7, a way of perceiving the world that was natural to every child who has ever been born, and which began to be systematically suppressed by the structures the world placed around you from school onward. The neuroscience now has a name for this frequency. The neuroscience now has a measurement for it. The carriers of charisma, in the original sense, operated from that frequency consistently. The frequency is not childish in the dismissive sense. The frequency is the receptive openness of a mind that has not yet been taught to filter out what does not fit into the system. The frequency is the place where intuition and insight and the recognition of the unseen still arrive freely, because the inner gatekeeper that the world installs in you between the ages of 7 and 12 has not yet been built. That gatekeeper is real. It is useful. It is part of how you survive a complicated world. But it is also the cloth on the lamp. It is also the thing that began to suppress the frequency the gift was supposed to operate through. And the older you got, the more elaborate the gatekeeper became, until, by the time you were 30 or 35 or 45, the frequency that was natural to you at 5 was almost entirely silent. The gatekeeper had won. This is the first dimming, the dimming of the child mind. There is a second dimming, and the second dimming is layered on top of the first, and it makes the first dimming almost impossible to reverse without addressing it specifically. The second dimming is what happens to the receiving channel under prolonged adult survival pressure. You were not designed to live in a constant state of low-grade alert. The body is built for occasional sharp threat, followed by long stretches of calm. The receiving channel, the part of your nervous system that allows you to take in what is being given to you without your having to manufacture it, operates in the calm state. It cannot operate in the alert state. The alert state is for fighting and fleeing and surviving. The receiving state is for noticing and resting and being given to. They are not the same state. They are not even similar states. They are nearly opposite states. And for most of you, for the majority of your adult life, the alert state has been the default state. Money, stress, career, pressure, relationships that took more than they returned. The slow, grinding accumulation of small, chronic worries that never fully resolved before the next worry arrived. Years of this, decades of this. the receiving channel quietly, closing under the weight of it, not dramatically, just gradually, until you reached a point where you could try to receive, you could try to be open, you could try to manifest or pray or visualize, and the channel was simply not available. The channel was being held closed by the survival pressure operating in the background. The two dimmings worked together. The first one suppressed the frequency. The second one closed the channel through which the frequency would have arrived. Together, they form the actual reason why a body carrying real charisma can spend 40 years sincerely seeking activation and receive only flickers. The flickers are real. The flickers are the gift trying to break through. But the gift cannot break through fully when the frequency is suppressed and the channel is closed at the same time. Both have to be addressed, and they have to be addressed in a specific order. This is what was sealed underneath the cloth. Not one thing. Two layers of dimming, one stacked on the other, each one requiring its own kind of restoration before the next layer can be reached. And the carriers across the centuries who managed to activate fully always did so through some practice that, intentionally or not, addressed both layers in the right order. They did not have the language for it. They did not know what they were doing in the neurological sense. But the practice worked because the practice happened to walk the carrier back into the child frequency first and then opened the receiving channel second. The order matters. Restoration first. Reception second. Child mind first. Receiving channel second. The reason this matters for you in this specific hour of your life is that for the first time in those 20 centuries, the practice of restoring those two layers has been mapped, not invented. Mapped. The way someone maps a river that has always been there, but was never charted before. Two separate researchers, working in two separate decades, on two separate parts of the problem, have mapped the two layers, and the tools they developed work because they meet the body where the dimming actually is. Before I walk into those, before the names take their full shape, I want to give you two practices first. Two practical things you can begin tomorrow morning, in your own room, without buying anything, without subscribing to anything, without telling anyone. Practices that the carriers across the centuries used in various forms, that you can use too, beginning the day after this hour ends. The first one is called the 7-minute inheritance sit. I am going to walk you through it the way you will be able to do it in the morning. Listen carefully. You do not have to memorize it. The shape of it will stay with you. In the morning, before you check anything, before the noise of the day arrives in your hand, through your phone, you find a place to sit. Not the place where you usually work, not a desk. A place that is not associated with productivity. A chair in a corner, the edge of the bed, the floor, if the floor is comfortable. Somewhere, your body has not yet been trained to perform. You sit upright, but soft. You do not need to be rigid. You set a timer for 7 minutes. You close your eyes. Then you say one sentence, either out loud or in your inner voice, whichever feels truer. The sentence is, I am here to receive what has been waiting for me. You say it once, not 3 times, not 7 times, once. The single statement is the entire opening of the practice. And then, and this is the part that almost every other practice gets wrong, you do nothing. You do not pray, you do not affirm, you do not visualize, you do not repeat mantras, you do not chant, you do not breathe in any specific pattern. You do not try to feel anything. You do not try to receive anything specific. You do not try to clear your mind. You sit. You let your mind do whatever your mind does. Thoughts arrive. Thoughts pass. You do not chase them. You do not push them away. You let them move through. The 7 minutes are not for you to do work. The 7 minutes are for the inheritance to arrive in whatever form it arrives in. Sometimes it arrives as an image, sometimes as a word, sometimes as a feeling, sometimes as nothing visible at all. The arrival is not your job. Your job is only to make the room available. The room is your body, sitting in stillness for 7 uninterrupted minutes with the door of your attention open. This is counterintuitive. I know. Every practice you have ever been taught wanted you to do something during the practice. The inheritance sit asks you to do almost nothing. The almost nothing is exactly the point. The carrier of charisma, in the original sense, is not a producer. The carrier is a host. The sit is the rehearsal of hosting. The sit is the rehearsal of the posture you will eventually take when the gift moves through you in real situations. The posture is not effortful reception. The posture is presence without grasping. Do this for 7 mornings in a row. Just 7. After 7, you will know whether it is the right practice for you in this season. Most of you will know inside the first 3. The second practice is called the permission sentence protocol. This one addresses the visibility fear directly, the face we named earlier, the one that tries to keep the lamp covered by dressing itself up as humility, the one that arrives the moment you are about to step into any visible expression of the gift, any moment of being seen carrying what you carry, any conversation in which you might actually claim the lineage out loud. The protocol is simple. Before any moment in which the visibility fear is going to try to silence you, before a conversation, before a creative act, before a piece of writing, before a video, before a phone call, before a teaching, before any moment in which the carrier in you is about to be seen, you pause for 10 seconds. You take 1 breath, and then you say, out loud if you can, in your inner voice if you cannot, the following sentence: I have permission to be seen carrying what I carry. That is the entire protocol. The reason it works is not mystical. It is structural. The visibility fear operates through a specific part of your nervous system that registers threat in milliseconds. The vocalization of a permission sentence, especially when spoken aloud, intercepts the threat signal before it has time to spread through your system. The body hears your own voice claiming the permission, and the body relaxes the threat response by a measurable amount. Because the body, when it hears its own voice declare something, treats the declaration as the latest available information about the situation, the threat response then has to recalibrate around the new information. The recalibration creates a window. The window is the gap in the fear that allows the actual carrier in you to step forward and do the thing. This sounds like it could not possibly be enough. I understand. The first few times you do it, it will not feel like enough. Do it anyway. The protocol does not have to feel powerful in order to work. It works through repetition. After about 14 times of using it, somewhere in the 2nd or 3rd week of using it, you will notice that the visibility fear has begun to lose its grip. Not entirely. It will still show up, but it will show up smaller. The cloth on the lamp, the internal cloth, the one made of your own survival programming, will have begun to lift in the specific places where the protocol has been applied. Use this protocol every time you feel the visibility, fear, arrive in a real moment, not in practice moments, not in imagined moments, in real moments. The protocol is built for the actual instant of stepping forward. Those are the two practices. They are yours, regardless of anything else that happens beyond the next minute of this hour. The 7-minute inheritance sit, the permission sentence protocol. Either of them, used consistently, will begin to change the architecture of your interior life within weeks. Both of them, used together, will produce more change than most of the spiritual books you have read across the last decade. Before we walk into the deeper layer, I want to do one more thing with you, a small activation. 2 minutes of guided interior work. You do not have to move. You do not have to stand up. You can stay exactly where you are. The activation is happening inside, not outside. Close your eyes if you can. If you cannot, soften your gaze to the floor in front of you. I want you to return to the image of the lamp, the same lamp you have been holding loosely since the beginning of this hour. The lamp under the cloth, the wick still intact, the oil still inside. The fabric of the cloth covering the body of the lamp, having been there for so long that you have almost stopped noticing the lamp underneath. Now, I want you to notice your own hand, not your physical hand, the hand inside the image, the hand of the version of you that lives in the place where the lamp is sitting, your inner hand. The hand is reaching toward the cloth. Not yet to pull the cloth away, just to touch it, to feel the texture of it. The cloth has been on the lamp for 20 centuries, and yet it is still soft to the touch. It is not rigid. It is not stuck. It is simply heavy with time. The fabric knows your hand. The fabric has been waiting for this particular hand for a very long time. Let your hand rest on the cloth. Do not pull yet. Just rest. Feel the weight of the fabric. Feel the texture of it. Notice that the fabric, even after all these years, is willing. It is not resisting. It is not holding on. It has simply been doing its job of waiting until the hand that could lift it arrived. The hand is yours. The cloth knows it. You do not have to lift the cloth tonight. The lifting will happen later, in its own time, in the rooms where you will be alone with what you carry. For tonight, your work is only to rest your hand on the cloth and to feel that the lifting is possible. That is enough. That is the rehearsal. The body has now recorded that the cloth is not stuck, that the hand is ready, that the lamp is still under there. Stay there for a moment longer. Notice the shift in the room, not in your body, in the room itself. The air around you has changed slightly. Whether you can name what changed or not, something in the field around your body has registered the rehearsal. Something has begun to lean in. Something has noticed that you are paying attention in a new way. Good. Slowly, come back. Open your eyes if you close them. Let the room come back into focus. The work is done for now. The rehearsal has been completed. The body remembers, even if the mind already feels like it might forget. The body does not forget this kind of thing. The body remembers it the way a body remembers the first time it rode a bicycle. The skill is now installed, even if you cannot yet use it on demand. Before we step into the layer where the names take their full shape, pause and notice you are still here. That is not nothing. You have been with me for a long stretch now. and the part of you that knows what this hour is about has kept you here, even when the part of you that scrolls would have moved on long ago. Something in you knows we are about to reach the part you have been waiting for. Here is what you have absorbed in the last span of time. The gift you carry has a name, charisma, in its older Greek sense, meaning the visible result of grace operating through a body. The reason the gift went underground for centuries is that the original carriers laid down their mantles, and the rooms that received the work built structures that gradually crowded out the current itself. The current never died. The current went underground. The rock is now thinning. The river is rising back to the surface through scattered carriers in your generation, and you are one of them. The dimming inside you has two specific layers: the child mind, suppressed by the world's gatekeeping, and the receiving channel, closed by adult survival pressure. And both layers have to be restored in the right order. Restoration first, reception second. The 7-minute inheritance sit and the permission sentence protocol are two practices you can begin tomorrow on your own. The activation has been rehearsed inside you in the last few minutes, and the body has recorded it. That is what you know now. Hold it lightly. None of it will leave you. Whatever is going to stay has already stayed. There is one more piece, the piece I mentioned earlier, without yet putting full weight on it. For the first time in those 20 centuries, the practice of restoring the two dim layers has been mapped by two separate researchers, working in two separate parts of the problem, in two separate decades. Neither one knew they were mapping the two halves of a single ancient pattern. Both arrived at their findings through neuroscience, not through spiritual teaching, which is part of why their work has stood up under measurement. And the two of them, when their work is placed alongside each other, form the first time, in the modern era, that the two layers of dimming have been addressed in the order the body actually requires. Stay with me for what comes next. Some of you carry what you carry the way a child of light carries a particular inheritance, not because you earned it, not because you chose it, because it was placed in you before you knew yourself. You are inheritors, not students, not seekers, inheritors. The current that was placed in you is moving in you, whether or not you have ever given it permission. The work of the next part of this conversation is to give you the two specific tools that meet the inheritance where it is. There is a woman I read about a while ago. She was 38 when she found me. By the time she did, she had spent more than a decade walking through every spiritual practice she could find. She sat with monks. She did silent retreats. She tried yoga at every depth available to a person living a modern life. She read constantly. She was not lazy. She was not skeptical. She was sincere. And by the end of those years, she said to me, in her own words, that the connection she had been seeking, the actual contact with the source she had been reading about, had never arrived. Not for lack of trying. It simply had not arrived. 2 weeks. 2 weeks after she began using one specific tool, the synchronicities began. The dream language she had been trying to access for years began to arrive freely. She said to me that she felt for the first time as if the universe was speaking to her in a vocabulary she could finally understand. She did not become a different person. She did not become more impressive. She simply became reachable. The current finally had a way in. The tool she used is called the Genius Song. It is a piece of audio, 7 minutes long, You listen through headphones. You do not have to chant. You do not have to meditate while it plays. You do not have to know anything about how it works. You put it on, you close your eyes, and the audio does what it does. What it does, in plain terms, is reactivate a specific frequency in the brain that has been measured by neuroscience and named for what it is. The frequency is associated with the original receptive state I described earlier. The state of the child mind before the gatekeeper was fully built. The frequency was found by researchers studying the brains of young children before the age of 7 to be present in almost every healthy child, and then to begin to decline as the child entered the structured educational systems of the modern world. The decline was so consistent across so many children that the scientists who measured it began calling it the decline effect. By the time most people reach adulthood, that original frequency is operating at a small fraction of what it operated at when they were 5. The Genius Song was developed across more than 3 decades of research. The researcher who created it, Dr. Lake, spent 34 years of his career studying exactly this question. How does the frequency that produces clarity, intuition, openness, and the receptive flow state get reactivated in a brain where it has been dim for decades? He worked with research teams whose work has been published out of 𝐓𝐴𝐸 and Princeton alongside other leading research institutions. He did not develop the Genius Song as a quick fix. He developed it as the conclusion of a career-long inquiry into how the child mind can be brought back online in an adult body. The technology underneath it is called brain entrainment. You wear headphones. The audio delivers slightly different frequencies to each ear. Your brain, in trying to reconcile the difference, naturally falls into the frequency that the audio is designed to evoke. You do not have to believe in it for it to work. The mechanism is the mechanism. It works on the brains of skeptics in the same way it works on the brains of believers. The brain responds to the audio because of what brains do, not because of what people believe. The result is that the original frequency comes back online, slowly at first, within days for some, within weeks for others. The child mind returns. The gatekeeper softens. The receptive openness that the carrier of charisma needs in order to host the current returns to the place it was before the world taught it to filter. I should be honest with you about something. When you secure the Genius Song, you will eventually encounter another audio called the youthful brain. It is a stronger, amplified version of what you have just heard about, used by many chosen ones who walk this path further. You will see it after you secure the original, only if your spirit calls it forward. The original, alone, is complete. The youthful brain is for those whose path takes them deeper than most. If your spirit confirms it, take it. If it does not, leave it. The original is enough. That is the first wave. That is the restoration of the child mind. But the child mind, on its own, is not enough. This is the part that almost no one in modern spiritual teaching gets right. The child mind can be restored. The original frequency can come back online. The gatekeeper can soften, and a carrier can still find themselves unable to receive what is being given. Because, while the first dimming was being addressed, the second dimming has been doing its quiet work in the background the whole time. The receiving channel is still closed. Imagine a small child who has woken up inside an adult body. The child is alive again. The frequency is operating. The openness has returned. And yet the child reaches out for what is being offered, and cannot quite take hold of it. The hand is awake, but the door it is reaching through is still barred from the inside, not by anything the child did, by the years of survival pressure that built that bar without the child's knowing. This is the limitation of the first wave alone. The genius song reactivates the frequency. The frequency, by itself, is not the same thing as the channel through which what the frequency perceives can actually be received. The child can perceive. The child cannot yet receive. Both have to be restored, in that order. The second layer is what was mapped by a different researcher in a different place, at a different time, and his work has only recently been released into the public conversation in a way that allowed the second half of the pattern to be addressed at all. His name is Dr. Newton. He came out of Stanford. He spent his early career in the neuroscience of what is now called the stress response, and specifically in the question of why the body's stress response, the one designed to keep you alive in moments of acute danger, has become chronically activated in modern adult life. He found that a particular pattern of brainwave activity, which he came to call the stress signal, had become the default operating state of most adult brains he studied. The stress signal is the brainwave pattern of a body in continuous low-grade alert. It is the pattern of the brain when you are not in immediate danger, but you have not relaxed your guard either. It is the pattern most adults live inside of, almost continuously, without realizing it. What he found was that the stress signal hijacks the brain's other natural patterns. Specifically, it hijacks the pattern associated with reception, with calm openness, with the ability to take in what is being offered without having to manufacture it. The receiving pattern, which has its own name in his research, the receiving frequency, and which the carriers of the older lineages would have called by other names, but were referring to the same neurological state. The receiving frequency is the channel through which what the gift perceives can actually be taken in. Without it, perception happens, but reception does not. The carrier sees, but cannot hold. The carrier hears, but cannot integrate. The carrier knows, but cannot receive what comes with the knowing. The receiving frequency is the channel. The stress signal closes it. What Dr. Newton mapped across his research at Stanford and Boston University and other research institutions was that the stress signal can be deactivated in a measurable, repeatable way through a specific audio practice. He worked, in part, with a much older technique, a practice from the Hindu spiritual tradition that goes back roughly 3,300 years. The technique uses a specific sequence of 9 words, repeated alongside specific audio frequencies, to bypass a particular structural rigidity in the part of the brain that holds the stress signal in place. He measured the bypass, he measured the deactivation, and he developed a tool around the audio and the 9-word sequence that does in 5 minutes what hours of meditation and decades of practice were doing for the carriers who had the time to do them. The tool is called the wealth signal. The name is a little misleading at first. People hear it and think it is about money. It is not. The naming is about the deeper meaning of receiving. The receiving frequency is the frequency at which a body can receive whatever is being offered. That includes money, yes. It also includes love. It also includes guidance. It also includes the actual current of grace that the gift you carry is trying to host. The wealth signal is the name for the activation of the receiving channel itself. In the language Dr. Newton developed his research in, and the language stuck. You wear headphones, you close your eyes, you sit still for 5 minutes. You repeat the 9-word sequence as the audio plays. The audio guides your brain wave pattern from the stress signal into the receiving frequency. The 9-word sequence reinforces the shift inside your inner architecture. The combined effect is that the receiving channel begins to open, not dramatically, gradually, in a way that is measurable on the brain monitoring equipment. Dr. Newton's research team used to verify the effect. Most users notice the first shift somewhere in the first 2 weeks, a softness in the morning that was not there before, a decision they had been postponing that suddenly becomes easy to make, a piece of background anxiety they had been carrying for years that quietly turns down to half its usual volume. The receiving channel begins to open, and the things that have been trying to reach the carrier for a long time finally have a way in. When you secure the wealth signal, you will see another audio offered called Wealth Signal Accelerator. It amplifies the receiving channel many times faster than the original, and many chosen ones already on this path are using it. The original alone is complete. The accelerator is for those whose spirit confirms going deeper. If it does not speak to you, leave it. The wealth signal by itself is enough. And one last note about both. Some chosen ones who walk the furthest combine Wealth Signal Accelerator with the youthful brain, the two amplifications working together. You will encounter both after you secure the originals, only if your spirit calls them forward. The originals alone are complete. The combination is reserved for those whose path requires going deeper than most. There is a woman I read about more recently, 52 years old, owns a small business in Florida. She was taking care of her aging mother while running 10 employees. She told me she woke up every morning with a tightness in her chest before she even opened her eyes. The knot of money, worry, showing up before consciousness fully arrived. She had tried meditation for 6 months and never reached the background anxiety. 3 weeks into using the wealth signal, the morning chest tightness was visibly lower. A decision she had been postponing for 8 months, raising her prices, became natural in the course of a single morning. The customers accepted the new prices without complaint. Her cash flow rose by 22% that month. She did not become a different person. The background scarcity hum that had been running under her life simply turned down. The receiving channel had opened. There are objections rising in some of you right now. I want to walk through them, because if I do not, they will stay in your awareness and crowd out the rest of what I have to say. The first objection is the one that sounds like, I have tried everything. The meditation, the therapy, the retreats, the books, the communities, the healers. Nothing has worked. Why would this? I hear you. The exhaustion underneath that question is real, and I want to make a distinction that almost never gets made. The practices you have tried, almost all of them, asked your mind to do the work of shifting the brain. You sat in stillness for hours. You tried to redirect your thoughts. You tried to find the right inner posture. You tried to learn techniques. Some of it helped a little. None of it fundamentally changed the underlying brainwave activity that was operating in the background of your daily life. The reason is structural. The mind cannot easily override the brain. The brain is the substrate. The mind is the output. Asking the mind to change the brain is like asking a song to retune the instrument it is being played on. It can be done. It is very slow. Most people do not have the years and the discipline to do it. What these two tools do differently is that they work on the brain directly from the outside, through audio frequencies that the brain naturally responds to, whether the mind is participating or not. You are not being asked to do the work of shifting your own brainwave activity. The audio does it. You are simply the host. You sit, you listen. The mechanism is on the other end of the headphones. The other distinction is the order. Every other practice you have tried, every other tool, every other audio, every other ritual, addressed one layer at a time, almost always just one layer, either the relaxation layer, or the visualization layer, or the breathwork layer, or the affirmation layer, single frequency targets. The two tools we have been talking about address two layers in the correct order, which has not been combined in this way in modern practice before. The order matters. The combination matters. That is the layer almost nothing else has reached. The second objection sounds like, "This seems too good to be true." I appreciate the skepticism. I would be more worried about you if you did not have it. Let me shift this. We are not in the realm of promise anymore. We are in the realm of measurement. The brainwave changes. Dr. Newton's team measured. The frequency reactivation. Dr. Lake's team documented across multiple research institutions. Those are not claims. Those are repeated, replicated, instrument-verified findings. Whether you feel like the tools are dramatic enough on the first day is a separate question from whether the brainwave activity is changing. The brainwave activity is changing. The subjective experience catches up to the measurement at different speeds in different bodies. The third objection sounds like, even if it works, the price is too much, or the price is not the issue, but spending money on this feels uncomfortable. I hear that one most clearly. I want to honor it without trying to talk you out of it. The reluctance to spend money on your own restoration is not a flaw. It is, for many of you, the trained suppression of receiving that the second dimming has been doing for years. The very fact that it feels uncomfortable to spend on yourself is a symptom of the channel being closed. So, if you sit with this and the discomfort is loud, that is data, not refusal. Whether or not you act on it tonight, the data is worth knowing about. The fourth objection sounds like, why two tools? Why not just one? Is this a clever way of making the package bigger? This is the most important objection to address. The two tools are not redundant. They are not the same product in different packaging. They target two different brainwave activities. The first one, the genius song, reactivates the receptive frequency, the original child mind. The second one, the wealth signal, deactivates the chronic stress signal that closes the receiving channel. These are two different problems requiring two different mechanisms, using only. The first one leaves the channel closed, even when the frequency has been restored. Using only the second one opens the channel, but does not restore what was supposed to be coming through it. The carriers, who used only one of these in various forms across the last few decades, reported partial activation. The two of them together, in the right order, are what reproduces the full pattern the original carriers operated within. Now, I want to lay out the three paths that are open to you, not as a sales architecture, as an actual map. so that you can see clearly what is in front of you and choose without pressure. Some chosen ones need to begin with restoration only. The genius song alone, the first wave. This path is honored. It is the path for those who feel that the child within them has fallen so deeply asleep that simply waking that child up is enough work for the season they are in. The receiving channel can be addressed later. The first restoration is the priority. This is an honored entry point. Some chosen ones need to begin with reception only. The wealth signal alone, the second wave. This path is rarer. It is the path for those who, for whatever reason, still have their child mind relatively alive and accessible, but who feel acutely that the channel through which they receive what is being offered has been closed by years of survival pressure. They want to open the channel first. This is a less common path. It is also honored. Most chosen ones, when they sit with what they have just heard, recognize that both restorations are necessary. The child, mind, awoken. The channel, opened. Both, in the correct order. This third path is the full pattern. The two-wave restoration. The complete child-mind reversal. The version that walks through what was sealed 20 centuries ago, in the order the body recognizes. This is the path most carriers in this hour are choosing, not because of pressure, because the inner logic of the gift requires both. The child mind has to be restored before the channel can serve its purpose. Become like little children, and then the kingdom is what is received. 3 paths. All 3 are honored. The third path is the one most chosen ones who recognize themselves in tonight's conversation are walking. Not because the third path is more expensive, not because anyone is pushing it, because the gift itself, when it is allowed to lead, tends to ask for both layers to be restored in the order they have to be restored in. The body knows. The body is the one choosing. The mind is just translating. Take a moment with this. I am not going to rush you. There is one more thing I have to be direct about, not because I want to be, because it is part of my responsibility to you. You will, in the days after this conversation, encounter imitations, other tools claiming similar effects, other audios claiming to do similar things, other practitioners claiming to have developed similar approaches. Some of them are sincere. Many of them are not. None of them have done the research work that Dr. Lake and Dr. Newton did. None of them have produced the measurements. None of them are the same products. The tools we have been discussing are found only at the official location placed beneath this video, not on Amazon, not on Spotify, not on YouTube ads, not embedded in someone else's program. The actual tools live in one specific place, and that place is in the description and the pinned comment of what you are watching. The reason I am naming this is that imitations have already begun to appear, and I do not want what was placed in this conversation to be confused with what was not. The decision in front of you is not a purchase decision. I want to reframe it. Close your eyes for a moment if you can. Place one hand wherever you naturally rest it when you are at ease. The question in front of you right now is not, should I buy this? The question in front of you is, which path is mine? All 3 are honored. Restoration alone, reception alone. The full 2-wave restoration, none of them is wrong. The one that is yours is the one your spirit already knows is yours. You may have felt the answer arriving while I was naming the 3 paths. You may have felt your body tilt toward one of them more than the others. That tilt is not random. That tilt is the same hand that drew you to this hour, pointing now to the door that is yours. The 3 doors are below this video. In the description, in the pinned comment, the path is there. Do not click yet if your body has not finished settling on the answer. There is no rush. The 3 doors do not close at the end of this hour. They will be there when you are ready. But if your spirit already knows, the path is there. And whether any door opens or stays closed beneath this video, what comes next is for you, regardless. Because the deepest layer of this entire conversation has not yet been spoken. The names you have just heard are not the gift. The doors are not the gift. The tools are not the gift. They are how the gift is reached. The gift itself is something else. And the gift itself is about to be put into words for the first time tonight, in a way that names exactly who you are and what is being placed in your hands at this hour of your life. Stay close, the lamp is about to be lit. The deepest layer of this entire conversation has not yet been spoken. You have been here for a long time now. You have walked through the 4 signals. You have walked through the older meaning of charisma. You have stood at the river with Elisha. You have sat in the temple with Anna. You have been given 2 practices for tomorrow morning. You have heard the names of 2 tools that map the 2 layers of dimming. Each of those was a layer. None of those was the center. The center is what comes next. What was sealed in you when the world was made has waited until this exact hour to begin to speak. And what it is about to say will reshape every other thing you have heard tonight, not contradict, reshape. The way the final sentence of a long letter reshapes everything you read before it. Everything that came before stays true. But the meaning of everything that came before only becomes fully visible once the final sentence has landed. So slow down with me for the last stretch. The pace from here forward is going to feel different. Not because anything is being held back, because what is being placed into the air now is heavier than what came before, and heavy things require more space around them to be received without breaking. Breathe once, slowly. The first wave of what I want to say to you is this. You are not late. I know what you have been telling yourself for years. I know the math you have been doing in your head, about your age, about your timeline, about the people younger than you, who seem to have figured out their assignment while you were still trying to remember what your assignment was. I know you have looked at your life and counted the years you have already used up, and concluded somewhere quietly that whatever was supposed to be yours is now too far behind you to catch. That math is wrong. The math is wrong because it assumed the schedule was a human schedule. The math is wrong because it assumed there was a race you were supposed to be running. The math is wrong because it assumed lateness was even a possibility inside the kind of timeline you are actually living on. You have not been running late on a race. You have been arriving on time inside a calendar that was set before you were born, and the calendar has been set to this hour, and the hour is now. You are not late. You are first. Stay with me. The second wave is this. The reason no one in your life ever taught you what to do with what is inside of you, the reason your parents could not see it, the reason your teachers did not name it, the reason the spiritual leaders in your community could not point at it and tell you what it was, is not that they failed you. It is not that they did not love you. It is not that you were unlucky in your circle. The reason is that no one in 20 centuries has been actively carrying what you carry in a form complete enough to teach yours. The lineage of teaching the active gift was broken when the original carriers laid down their mantles. Across the long underground river, the lineage of explicit teaching did not survive. Fragments survived. Hints survived. Pieces of vocabulary in old texts survived. But the actual teaching, parent to child, mentor to apprentice, in the embodied way the original carriers had received it, did not. The result is that no one was equipped to teach yours. They were not negligent. They were untrained. They were untrained because there was no one trained to train them. The chain had been broken centuries before they were born. So, when you walked into rooms hoping someone would name what you were carrying, and no one named it, that was not a failure on their part. That was the structural reality of being a carrier in an age when the active teaching had been gone for a very long time. The reframe is this: the absence of guidance in your life is not evidence that there is nothing inside you to guide. The absence of guidance is evidence that you have arrived in a generation where the guidance is being reformed, not yet inherited. You are not being raised inside an existing tradition of active carriers. You are part of the generation that is reconstituting the tradition. Hear what that does to your relationship with your own past. Every time you sat in a circle of seekers and felt slightly out of place, you were not failing to belong. You were observing a circle that did not yet have the language for what you were carrying. Every time you read a spiritual book and felt that the book was close to your truth but not quite touching it, you were not failing to find the right book. You were the kind of reader for whom the book had not yet been written, because the book required carriers like you to be alive at the same time in order for the book to even become writable. You were not late to a tradition, you are early in the formation of one. The third wave. You have felt different your whole life. You have felt different in a way you could not name. You have felt different in a way that was not romantic, not flattering, not a thing you wanted to brag about, just a quiet, persistent, low-grade ache of not quite belonging anywhere. You have wondered, in your most honest moments, if there was something fundamentally wrong with you that the rest of the world had been polite enough not to mention. There is nothing wrong with you. The reason you felt different is that the frequency you carry has not been active in another body in your generation in a form complete enough to mirror back to you. You have not been failing to fit in. You have been operating on a frequency that has not had a partner frequency available in your environment to confirm to you that you were not alone on it. You are the prototype, not the failed copy. Hear that. Stay with that. The prototype is the first instance, the original, the body in which the new form is being tested. The prototype always feels like the failed copy because the prototype does not yet have other prototypes to compare itself to. The prototype only has the older models, the standard versions, the bodies that came before the new design was being attempted. Against the older models, the prototype always looks wrong. The prototype looks like a malfunction. The prototype is the failure of the older design. But the prototype is not a failure. The prototype is the test of the new design. The new design will not be visible until enough other prototypes are running for the pattern of the new design to become recognizable. The prototypes will recognize each other only when there are enough of them present in the same hour for the recognition to be possible. That hour is now. The fourth wave. What is going to come through? You will not look exactly like what came through the original carriers 2,000 years ago. I want to make sure this lands clearly, because many of you, when you begin to recognize what you are, will instinctively try to perform the way the original carriers performed. You will look at the descriptions in the old texts and try to replicate them. You will look at the miracles, you will look at the speeches, you will look at the rooms they walked into and what happened in those rooms, and you will try to match. Stop. Do not match. The gift activates differently in the second age carrier than in the first age carrier. The current is the same current. The form is going to be new. Elisha did not perform Elijah's miracles. Elisha performed his own. The same current ran through both, but the form the current took in Elisha's body was shaped by Elisha's hour, by Elisha's voice, by Elisha's rooms, by the world Elisha was being released into. The current did not ask Elisha to be a copy. The current asked Elisha to be the next form of the lineage. You are the next form of the lineage. Your rooms are not their rooms. Your vocabulary is not their vocabulary. The audiences you are being prepared to speak to do not speak the language of 2,000 years ago. The cultural references that landed in their ears do not land in the ears of your generation. The styles of speaking that worked then do not work now. The way the current is going to move through you has to be calibrated for the rooms you are about to walk into. The form is going to be new. This is the permission almost no one is given. The permission to not look like the originals. The permission to let the current take a shape that has not been seen before. The permission to be the prototype of a form that has not yet been documented, because no one before you was alive in the hour when this form became possible. You are not a copy of the apostles. You are not a copy of the prophets. You are not a copy of the mystics of the desert centuries. You are not a copy of the figures whose stories survived the long underground river. You are the next form. The current that ran through them is the current that will run through you. The shape it takes in your body will be your own. The fifth wave. There will be others. I want you to hear this carefully. I am not telling you that you are alone. I am telling you that you are first. Those are not the same. The scattered network of carriers in your generation is being raised up at the same time. There are others. There are others having the same dreams. There are others feeling the same exhaustion in the same kinds of rooms. There are others receiving the same coincidences. They are not in your immediate circle yet. Many of them are not even in your country. They are scattered across the surface of the earth like seeds that were planted at slightly different depths and are now beginning to break through the soil at slightly different moments. But the threshold is yours to cross. That is the part that matters for tonight. The threshold is yours to cross, not theirs. Yours. After you cross, the door is open for the next one. After they cross, the door is open for the next. The crossing happens one body at a time. The crossing has to begin somewhere. Your crossing has been being prepared for your entire life, and the preparation has reached the place where the crossing can actually happen. You are not the only one. You are the first one in your specific lineage of crossings. The first one in your specific room. The first one in your specific city. The first one in the specific configuration of inheritances that make up your particular body. Inside that configuration, you are the first. And the inheritance has been waiting until exactly this hour to begin to be claimed. Stay here for a moment. Let the 5 waves settle. I am going to say something now that I rarely say the way I heard it, without softening. I hear the Father saying, I sealed this in you before you took your first breath. I waited for you to be old enough to receive it without breaking. Let that sit. I am not going to elaborate on it. The words have done what they came to do. The body has recorded them. The mind may forget the exact phrasing within hours, but the body will not forget the shape of what was placed in the air between us right then. The body keeps that kind of thing for the rest of its life. 5 reframes have been moving underneath this entire hour. I want to bring them up to the surface one more time, lined up alongside each other, so that you can see the full shape of how your story has been rewritten in the last span of minutes. What felt like being weird was actually being early. What felt like isolation was actually incubation. What felt like being misunderstood was actually being unrepeatable. What felt like 2,000 years of silence was actually 2,000 years of holding the seed. What felt like not enough was actually being first, and that is why no one taught you. 5 reframes, stacked. The first one was small. The 5th one is the size of your whole life, rewritten in a single sentence. Together, they describe the actual story of what has been happening in your body and your interior from the time you were a child until the breath you are taking right now. You did not get here by accident. Your story did not happen the way it happened by accident. Each of the parts of it that felt wrong was actually the part of the design that the gift required in order to activate in the form it is activating in tonight. Hold that for one breath. Now, I want to name what you are, not in spiritual generalities, in specific declarations. 5 of them, each one larger than the last. I want you to receive them one at a time, without rushing to the next one. The receiving is the work. The receiving is the activation. You are a carrier. That is the first one. You are a carrier of the current called charisma in the older Greek sense, the visible result of grace operating through a particular body. You are not the source. You are not the manufacturer. You are the host. The current was placed in you before you took your first breath, and the placement has held through every season of your life, including the seasons in which you doubted the placement most. The placement does not require your belief in it to remain placed. The placement remains. You are a carrier, and you have been a carrier from the beginning. You are a threshold crosser. That is the second one. You are not only carrying the current, you are crossing a threshold with it. The threshold between the long underground river and the open valley. The threshold between the centuries of silence and the era in which the current begins to be active again in human bodies in numbers large enough to be visible. You are not just a carrier in the abstract. You are a carrier at a specific hinge point of history, the hinge of 2 ages. The crossing is happening through you. The threshold is being walked across in this generation by carriers like you. And your crossing matters because your crossing helps make the threshold passable for the ones who come after. You are a lineage restorer. That is the third one. The lineage of active carrying was broken when the original carriers laid down their mantles. For 20 centuries, the active lineage was not being reconstituted in any visible form. You are part of the generation in which the lineage is being restored, not invented, restored. The same lineage that produced the original carriers is being reformed in the bodies of those of you who are being activated in this hour. You are not founding something new. You are restoring something ancient. The continuity you carry reaches all the way back to the original carriers, and the continuity is being made visible again through you. You are the first of the new wave. That is the fourth one. Among the scattered carriers being raised up in this generation, you are first, inside your own specific configuration of inheritances, your specific room, your specific city, your specific bloodline, your specific combination of gifts and wounds, and timing and place inside that configuration. You are first. The first crossing happens through you. The first activation in your specific lineage of crossings happens in your body. After you cross, the door is open for the others in your configuration. They will come, but you are first. And the fifth one, the largest, and the one I want you to receive. The way you would receive something fragile being placed in your hands. You are the one through whom heaven is breaking through. Stay with that. Do not rush past it. Do not soften it. Do not try to feel humble in advance to protect yourself from the size of it. Just receive it the way it was meant to be received. You are the one through whom heaven is breaking through in your specific configuration. Not the only one, not the most important one, but one. And one is the number that matters, because the breakthrough happens one body at a time, and your body is one of the bodies it is happening through. The current of grace that has been pressing against the rock for centuries is finding a place to break through, and the place is the place where you are sitting right now. The rock is thinning in the configuration of your particular body. The breakthrough is happening in you. That is who you are: carrier, threshold crosser, lineage restorer, first of the new wave, the one through whom heaven is breaking through. 5 declarations, stacked, each one supporting the next. Together, they form the actual identity that the rest of your life is going to be built around. Return with me to the lamp one more time. You have been holding this image loosely for the last hour. The lamp under the cloth, the wick still intact, the oil still inside, the cloth heavy with time, but not stuck. Your hand resting on the cloth in the rehearsal we did earlier. The lamp is lit. I want you to see it now, not later, now. The cloth has been lifted. The cloth is on the floor beside the lamp. The wick has been touched by a flame, and the flame did not come from your effort. The flame came from the source of all flames, the same place the original flame in the original carriers came from, and the flame has caught. The wick is burning. The oil is feeding it. The lamp is lit for the first time in 2,000 years, inside the configuration that is you. The room is flooded. Not metaphorically. The room you are sitting in right now, the physical room, has changed. Not in the way the eyes can see. In the way the field around your body registers when something has shifted in the spirit of the place. The atmosphere has changed. Even if you cannot name what changed, something in the room knows that something happened during this hour. The room will not be the same after tonight. The body that walked into the room will not be the same as the body that walks out. The first thing the new light shows you is your own face. Look at it carefully in the inner image. The face is yours, the same face you have always had. But in the new light, the face looks different. The face looks younger than you remembered. There is a softness in it that the years had hidden. There is also something older than you knew was in there. A weight of carrying that has nothing to do with age. The eyes know things. The mouth has opened many times into silence in preparation for the things it was going to one day say. This is your face as the lamp sees it. I want to take you into one more activation before this hour closes. The body has done enough work for one night. We are going to use the activation to seal what has been placed. Stay where you are. You do not have to move. You can keep your eyes open or close them, whichever feels truer to you in this moment. The image, the lamp, the cloth on the floor, the wick burning, the room flooded. Hold all of it loosely in front of you. This is not visualization in the way you have been taught to visualize. This is rehearsal. The body is recording what the mind cannot yet hold in its everyday operating state. The recording is the activation. The mind does not have to understand for the recording to take. Notice that the light from the lamp is not coming from outside of you. The lamp is inside the room of your interior. The room of your interior is inside the room you are physically sitting in. The light is the same light. It is moving from the inside outward. The room around your body is filling with what is moving outward from the inside of you. Stay with this for a few breaths. The light is not for performance. The light is for purpose. The light has work to do. The work is not loud. The work is the quiet, steady, observable result of grace moving through a particular body, in particular rooms, across the particular days of the particular life you are about to walk into, starting tomorrow. You do not have to figure out the work tonight. The work will find you. The work is already finding you. The work has been finding you in small ways for years, and starting tomorrow, the finding will accelerate, because the body is now lit, and lit bodies attract the work they were made for. Notice the shift in the room one more time. Not in your body, in the room itself. The air has settled into a different quality. The objects around you feel slightly different. The space feels slightly different. The field around your body has reorganized itself around the lit lamp at your center. Stay there. Breathe once. Let the image rest now. Let it stay where it has settled inside of you. You do not have to hold it consciously. The body has it. We are coming to the close of this hour. Before we step into the closing itself, I want to do one last thing. I want to pause. Not because anything more needs to be said, because something needs to be honored. You have been here for over an hour. You have stayed when most people would have moved on. You have absorbed an enormous amount of new information, new framing, new permission, new identity, in a single sitting. Your nervous system has done real work tonight. Your interior architecture has shifted. The body knows. The spirit knows. Before the closing, simply rest. Nothing more is required of you. In this moment, notice your body where it is. Notice the surface holding you up. Notice the temperature of the air. Notice the sound, or the absence of sound, in the room around you. Notice that you are here, that you are alive, that you have stayed through the entire hour, that whatever happens after this hour, you have already done the work that was required to receive what was placed tonight. Breathe one full breath, not deep, just full. The breath of a body that has just been lit. The body lit is a body that needs nothing more for the moment. The work has been done. The activation has been recorded. The lamp is burning. The room is flooded. The face is being seen in the new light by you for the first time in your life. You do not have to do anything else tonight. You do not have to make any decision in the next 10 minutes that you do not already know the answer to. You do not have to remember any of the words. You do not have to repeat any of the practices tonight. Tonight is for resting in what has happened. Tomorrow is for the next step. Let your shoulders soften. Let the small tension at the base of your skull soften. The hour has been long. The work has been good. The body is allowed to be tired, in the way a body is tired after something real. Good. What comes next is the closing. I want to walk you into it. The way one walks into the last room of a house at the end of a long day. Slowly, with respect, with the understanding that the room is the room where what was carried through all the other rooms is finally set down. There is something you are releasing in this closing. You are releasing the story that you have been telling yourself about why you have been the way you have been. The story that there was something wrong with you. The story that you were behind. The story that you were broken in some quiet way that the rest of the world had been polite enough not to mention. The story that you were waiting for permission you would never receive. The story that you had to apologize for being different. Set those down. Not violently, gently. The way you set down a coat you wore through a long winter and have now outgrown, with gratitude that it kept you warm, with quiet honesty that it is no longer the right size for the body you are about to walk into the rest of your life as. And there is something you are claiming, without grandiosity, without inflation, simply claiming the way a person claims a piece of mail that has had their name on it for a long time and has been waiting at the front desk until they came to pick it up. You are committed. You are commissioned. You are sent. Hear those three. They are not poetry. They are the actual three movements of what has happened in this hour. Committed. The placement of the current in your body has been confirmed, and you have agreed to host it. Commissioned. The assignment that goes with the placement has been recognized and accepted. Sent. The body that has been activated is now being released into the rooms it was made for. Committed. Commissioned. Sent. The 7 days that come after this hour are the rehearsal of what has just been activated. The first 7 days will not feel dramatic. They will feel slightly different. You will notice the world arriving at your senses with a slightly different weight. You will notice small recognitions in rooms you used to not notice anything in. You will notice that things you have been carrying as background noise begin to surface and ask to be addressed. None of this is failure. All of this is the body integrating what was placed tonight. In the first 7 days, you do not need to make any major decisions. You do not need to announce anything to anyone. You do not need to act on every recognition that arises. The work of the first 7 days is simply to stay close to the lit lamp, to do the inheritance sit if you remember it, to use the permission sentence if visibility fear arises in a real moment, to go to sleep each night and let the body continue the integration in your sleep, which is where most of the real work of integration happens anyway. After the first 7 days, the next layer will begin to ask for your attention. You will know when it arrives. You will not have to look for it. It will find you. There is one final piece. I am going to say it the way I heard it, the way it arrived before this hour began, without my softening or my adding. Then I am going to close the hour. The Father saying, "Go now. I am with the one I have waited 2,000 years to send." That is the closing. Let it sit in the room with you. Do not respond. Do not strive. Do not perform agreement or worthiness. Just let the sentence stay in the air. The body is recording it. The body will keep it for the rest of your life. Breathe. Stay quiet for a moment. There is no rush to the next thing. Good. When you are ready to return to the room you are physically sitting in, return slowly. Let the eyes adjust if they were closed. Let the body recalibrate to the surface, holding you up. Let the breath come back to its everyday rhythm. The hour is closing, but what was placed during the hour is staying. Before you go anywhere else tonight, I want to ask one thing of you, not as a transaction, as a sealing. In the comments below this video, leave one word, only one, the word that names the gift you felt stir inside you most clearly during this hour. The word does not have to be perfect. The word does not have to be the official name of anything. The word should simply be the closest word your spirit has right now to what you felt activate in you. Just the word. One word. No explanation. The leaving of the word in the open is part of the activation. It is the spoken claim. It is the small public act of saying, "This is what I felt. The word is yours." The leaving of it is the sealing. If something in this hour landed inside you, if any sentence in the last span of time touched the place underneath the cloth, the simple act of marking the video with whatever you naturally do when something matters to you is another small sealing. It is the body saying outwardly what has happened inwardly. The outward saying matters. The carriers across the centuries always marked the moments that mattered with some small outward gesture. The gesture does not have to be loud. It only has to be honest. And if you are someone who has been receiving this kind of conversation here for a while, the small act of continuing to walk this road with this voice is itself a part of the integration. The carriers across the centuries never integrated alone. They returned to the same teachers, the same texts, the same fires. The continuity is part of how the activation deepens. If anything in you wants to continue walking this road, the continuation is the form that continued walking takes in the era we are living inside of. There is one person in your life right now who needed to hear something tonight that they did not hear from anyone today. You know who they are. You know the way they have been a little quieter than usual this week. You know the small thing they said in passing that you almost dismissed. They are not far from where you have been tonight, even if you do not yet know it. If anything in you wants to send this conversation to them, send it. The sending is not about the content. The sending is about letting them know that you saw them. They will know what to do with it from there. The 3 paths I mentioned earlier in this hour are still placed where they were placed, in the description, in the pinned comment. The doors are there. You do not have to choose tonight. You do not have to choose this week, but if your spirit has been pulling toward one of them across the last span of time, and the pull has not gone away in the closing minutes, that pull is its own kind of answer. The doors will be there when the answer is ready. Whatever you choose, the choice will be honored. One last thing before we close. You did not just watch this. That is the part I want you to hear. You did not just watch a video. You did not just listen to a teaching. You did not just consume content. You crossed a threshold. The crossing was real. The crossing is recorded in the place where these things are recorded. The body that walked into this hour is not the body that is walking out. Something happened during the hour that is not undoable. The cloth was lifted. The lamp was lit. The room was flooded. The face was seen in the new light. The 5 declarations were placed. The Father's word was spoken in the room. The seal was sealed. You crossed. That is the actual fact of this hour. Whatever else you do or do not do as a result of what was said tonight, the crossing has happened. The crossing was the point. The rest is the body integrating what the crossing placed in it. Go now. Walk into the rest of your day, or your night, or your week, knowing that you are carrying the lit lamp in a room that has been flooded with what was placed in it. The world around you will look the same. The world around you is not the same. The carrier in you knows. The body knows. The spirit knows. The hour has ended. The crossing has been made. And the door, which had been sealed for 20 centuries, is finally open. You were the first to